Good evening, everybody, and welcome to your Stat Check bonus Jonas content. We are here to talk about the live, brand new March data slate and munitorum field manual and all those things that go with it. We're going to do the talking heads format today because I couldn't be bothered setting up the Canvas stuff because we're just going to slap a big arrow on Orks and not worry about the rest. So, we can move on with our lives. I hope everybody's doing well. I hope they've had a fantastic 24 hours since we spoke to you last. We are live. Our usual UK time, so the UK viewers will be happy with that, but a little later for Canadian people because Jeremy has like one of those job things now and has to like organize around his schedule and stuff. I don't know, some made up stuff. So yeah, hope everybody's doing well. Hope everybody had a merry Slatemas, our quarterly holiday. Jeremy, off the rip, good slate, bad slate. What's your thoughts?
Bad slate.
Yeah, bad slate, right?
Yeah, bad slate.
Actually, it's weird because there's a bunch of armies that were really good that didn't get hit, a bunch of armies that were really good that got nuked, and a bunch of bad armies that got really big buffs, and a bunch of bad armies that didn't get anything, and then a bunch of new detachments for armies that didn't need them, which is the most confusing part. I don't understand why they're putting. Can we start with that off the rip? Why are they putting detachments in balanced data slides now? I didn't read the article, so
the article's saying they're going to do this quarterly, which is terrifying.
It feels
so,
like you should
every
maybe
3 months
we'll
randomly get an army that already had a codex gets a new detachment, because these aren't armies that haven't gotten love yet so far. Like Orks, they got tactical. Tau got auxiliary. Custodes got solar spearhead. What are we doing?
Yeah, exactly. And
they got 3 pretty well thought out, well founded detachments in Grotmas, and now they're just like, here's
another microdose of Grotmas.
Yeah, by the way, we nerf tactical. Enjoy what will replace it.
Yeah, we put some Grotmas in your Grotmas so that you can make sure that you're double Grotmasing. Meanwhile, it also is just kind of wild to me because I don't really feel like anything that any of the detachments are doing aren't things that there was already a detachment doing. That's the bit that's wild to me, right? Like, the Be'lakor detachment is mostly just an incursion detachment. I think you could have just put in the Be'lakor ally rules on top of it and said, like, this is the thing you can do. It's cool that it's integrated, and it's the one that I think the most is interesting. But Mordaka is just tactical brigade. Like, they already had a shooting focus detachment. Did they need another one? They had that, and they had Dread Mob. And then we already had a Custodes character focus attachment in Auric champions, and it's terrible. Why not buff Auric champions? It feels wild. I really don't get the direction where this is coming from.
It's not even a character detachment. It's more of like an MSU Alaris detachment.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think Unleashed Lines is a cool detachment. Like, I genuinely do, and I think the only thing that I have an issue with is the tracking issue on 18 individual Alaris Terminators for who's used their up down, which is truly hilarious.
Have you brought in all your reserves?
What's that?
I think those 3 over there haven't used their uppy downies yet.
Yeah, if you don't have it tracked, they've all used it. Mate. If you can't tell me exactly, then you don't have any left. But yeah, and then there were some really cool, some really nuanced nerfs. I think the tactical brigade nerfs were really well done. I think most of the guard nerfs were to the problem points, and
then Legion of Excess, I think, was a bit excessive.
A little. I think that mostly comes down to they were always going to get the Emperor's Children data sheets treatment, and that was always going to.
Then they said, let's change the detachment rule and also hit half the strats at the same time.
Yeah.
I think
one of the strats is actually arguably okay.
For all that they really needed.
Yeah, I don't hate the change to reroll. I don't hate the change to it being you had to be in shadows for the if they just left it reroll once to hit and wound outside shadow, reroll all hits and wounds inside shadow, so it was still going to keepers, but fiends didn't just run rampant by themselves. Maybe something in that region. I don't know. Maybe they'll end up getting buffed back a little bit. But with the keeper data sheet changes and the strat changes, I think that would have been fine. And then on the other side of that. No changes to Ultramarines functionally, or what feels like no changes to Ultramarines, some minor changes.
Vanguard got nerfed.
Stormlines got nerfed. Gladius did get hit, right? Don't get me wrong. It definitely took some points changes, but 80 points is not in remotely the same weight class. 70, depending on your build, right? It's not even remotely the same weight
exactly
class.
At the man who's writing this, Josh's list from LVO. That list went up 70 points. You could, if you wanted to, just drop the lone up lieutenant, which you're not going to do, but.
Yeah. Yeah, and then I mean, I'm going to bitch about the Genestealer Cult changes, but it's fine. I'm mad about them because
What
it feels a little targeted.
Was it just the 20 mans went up 15?
Just the 20 man went up 15 points.
That is so targeted.
All right, guys, harsh. I get it. My Bloodless Angels had to die as well. Like, two very targeted nerfs in this Dataslate.
I mean,
but
Innes, you should take one for the team and just play Ludus.
No, everyone else will be doing that for me. Yeah, it really feels like Gladius got off extremely lightly, and then I don't even know where to begin with Eldar.
Yeah. All right. Shall we talk about like kind of army by army, or do we want to?
Yeah, so that's our general overview. Is that I think we're a little disappointed. There's some really good ones in here and some kind of poor ones. So as always with this, it's kind of run through the format. We're not going to be going through line by line of every data set change. We will broadly recommend that you follow along with the Goonhammer articles that have all of the side-by-side comparisons. You can find all of them at goonhammer.com. Yeah, so Jeremy, I assume you were following something along the lines of that. Because Jeremy helps write for Goonhammer. I don't know if anybody knew that.
I'm going off my own notes from when we were writing.
Shocking,
right? I didn't have much time to write, but I at the very least had time to digest and give some feedback on some of the changes they made.
Yeah. And then I'll be giving my cold, raw, unfiltered takes as a plebeian who got them all today with the rest of you. So let's go army by army. So broadly, this will be Imperium, Xenos, Chaos, or Chaos Xenos in whichever order, Jeremy. And also
go alphabetical through things because that's the order.
Alphabetical, even better. Let's do that then.
All right, Sisters of Battle, the Adeptus Sororitas. Real simple. They got a bunch of cuts on their melee stuff, and they now get more miracle dice. But they keep the nerfs that were put in place to bring Bringers of Flame into line. I think they could use a little bit more. But
this is definitely not even remotely close to enough for Sisters, but it's starting to get in a direction where like I could see you being able to put together like 30 Arcos, Zephyrim exists now, and be like, all right, cool, I can play like a Port Control Hald Mars build that can like get across the line against most things if I play it well. I know we've seen Scott Ketchum playing that kind of build recently, and doing like pretty well with it. I think Sisters exist now. Like they're an army that you'll have to consider again, but they're not going to be getting their heights.
And they'll probably get Sacrosanct going down 20 points is very interesting.
Yeah, I don't hate like that detachment is really cool, and I kind of glanced off it when it hit because it had so few miracle dice to fuel it. But having 2 OC Sacrosancts with like 2 up, 4 up, bringing models back, and 2 OC is actually genuinely kind of interesting. Or even just having like
1 to wound.
Yeah. Or honestly, just like 3x5 as like small skirmish pieces that Sisters just don't have access to otherwise. Like they're 2 OC skirmish pieces that can go in and fulfill like a role of like a bad GPI, and you've actually got some miracle dice to fuel that now. Like I think there's probably some builds in there. They're not going to be super exciting. They'll probably still be crouching on Vol a decent amount.
Probably, yeah. I think the other thing is that like Repentia is still criminally overcosted. 170 for 10 of those models is.
But you could also go down the route of just playing 8 emulators by bringing 6 Sisters ones and 2 Agents ones.
Oh, God damn it!
Just bring the good data sheet,
yeah, fair enough. But yeah, that's the gist of the changes for Sisters. Weakens Custodes. Ugh.
So Custodes' actual point changes were really good, and I quite like them.
Yes.
It's the other part of it that I'm confused about, as always.
Yeah, so let's talk about the point changes. So like basically everything that was being used in Solar Spearhead right now, or some of the Talons builds went up. So the things that were being taken a lot. So Telemons, Contemptors, and then the Feel No Pain Relic,
Blade Wizards and
Wardens. And then they did some very small cuts on sister characters and a very questionable cut to Shield Captains, as well as I don't know why they did this, is cutting the points cost on Custodian Guard.
I think part of that is probably that they were priced around Draxus existing, and she kind of doesn't in the same capacity anymore. And I don't actually mind it that much.
She still exists, though.
She still exists, but she doesn't do the same as she used to do. And
yeah, she doesn't have the indirect, right? But like,
yeah. I don't think Guard are that bad. I think if Custodes players are playing Custodian Guard, it's generally a fairer form of Custodes, and I'm okay with that.
Fair. I think 170 for 4 might be a bit cheap. You're getting
maybe. I mean, it's still. Like, I mean, like, does it die to
the same as a Terminator in Marines?
I mean, it's still it's more expensive than 10 Lutas, and I think it's worse. So
fair.
We can start putting that as a metric in.
Oh, I hate this so much.
That's more expensive than 10 Lutas and a truck. It's 165. So, we're gonna start leveling this shit out.
Yeah. Now let's talk about their detachment, because they definitely.
I think this stuff is really cool. I genuinely think it's really cool.
It's
I don't know why it
cool,
exists,
but also so I get what they're trying to do is it's kind of like this, Custodes fighting like Custodes actually do if they're the independent operator and running around, and so you get buffs for going alongside that. But why is it as boring as +1 to hit and wound?
Why is it +1 to hit? That's the bit that I really truly don't understand. I get that it counts as that
mods.
-1s.
Why don't you just say ignore mods?
Yeah, were Custodes players really put out by getting lightning fasted and hitting on and not having auto hit? If you just given them torrent melee, do you think they'd have been more or less upset?
I keep saying just give them torrent and melee and take away the katas.
The katas, yeah.
Say you have this many attacks. You get to choose.
It's for the sisters units. Yeah, that's fair. The thing with me is it always just was is you've just rewarded the Custodes player who does not think playstyle, which is that all their units are just in completely different quarters of the board and they're not near each other. And it's just I'm not supporting shit. I don't need the heroic. I'm just here and vibing and having a good time, and I'm getting +1 to wound. It's very upsetting to me that the one unit that the best supports is Venatari and they already have Lance. But
yeah.
So it's an interesting detachment. It's got really cool stratagems, right? It's got really cool enhancements. It's got really cool stratagems. Having access to fallback, shoot, and charge, reactive move on getting shot, which is just wildly better on infantry than it is on Star Shatter's vehicles. You've got trigger the advance and charge again on Blade Champions. One of the biggest counterplays to that unit is that it can't do it again, and they're just run it. The detachment says run it back. The stealth and loan up enhancement for a bike captain, and then the wild enhancement of +3 strength, +1 attack, +1 AP, +1 damage.
So when I was reading through this, I was very confused. So there are 4 enhancements in this detachment. You have stand back up, you have loan up and stealth, you have +2 attacks for every 5 models within 6 of you, and then you have +3 strength, +1 attack, +1 damage. Or +1.
I guess which one you won't have.
Strength +1 damage.
AP +1 damage. Yeah. Well, guess which one you won't use. And it's not the first, second, or fourth.
Yeah. Well, and the wild thing is the point cost on these things.
If I had to guess, it should be the plus damage one is probably the second most expensive, because the stat backups are always pretty cheap. They're always 20, 25 points.
The most expensive one.
Because it feels like the most expensive one would be the stealth loan up, because that's usually a 25 to 40 point.
So those two are both the stand up and the stealth loan up are both 25s. And
okay, so they're probably pretty reasonably budgeted.
The enhanced weapon is 10 points.
Yeah, I think that might change. Rage Shield Warrior went up to 35 this patch.
Yeah.
I think it's not Rage Shield Warrior, but it's pretty damn good.
Yeah, because it works all game long. It doesn't just work once per battle.
Let's be honest. The Shield Captain is not getting a second go.
I don't know. You can.
Look, dude, I don't know how you play against Custodes, but if they're charging in a Shield Captain that's not on a Warden squad, it's either never making combat because it's in a Warden squad that's walking, or it died on entry. There is no second. There is no alternative that isn't me losing the game, and it's got nothing to do with it.
Be 6 inches away from each other everywhere.
Dude, I'm going to be walking around with 6-inch perfect
space when you have +1 to wound.
Got to make sure that you wound New Bellicor on 4s.
I think you can wound them on 3s with axes.
You certainly could run. Yeah, did you gonna go for 12? Go for it would be 2s, right? Because you'd be 12, 12-2-4 with the axe.
Is that really the strength of the axe?
They're 9, right? They're 9-1-3.
Oh yeah, they're 9. I thought for some reason I thought they're 8. Yeah, so you'd go to strength 12, so you'd wound Bellicor on 2s.
That's actually a pretty good argument for the only model in the Custodes army to have an axe besides Trajan.
Well, and that's the thing. I think you put it on an Alaris captain, for example.
Yeah, it's pretty reasonable. Get your reroll hits and wounds against character units anyway.
Yeah, well, and also their once per battle is hilarious.
Yeah, the
all incoming damage goes to 1.
Yeah. Make him stealth and loan up as well. You're gonna put stealth and loan up on a bike captain. But...
Yeah. Australia's Tabletop Wargaming Network Thief of Secrets for Deathwatch, which is +1 strength, damage, and AP, which goes to +2 for each of those, is 25 points.
Yeah.
So,
to be fair, I do think Thief of Secrets is better than this because it triggers because +2 damage is better than a +2 strength.
Well, and also
having an additional
Thief of
damage
Secrets
point
is
later.
all your melee weapons, right?
Yes, but it's
so if you put it on a Gravis captain, it's very funny.
It's 7 attacks, right? It's one more attack than this guy has on specifically that model. It's not crazy. I don't think that's wild, but yeah, Thieves' Use is a very good enhancement. Don't get me wrong; it's like defining for Death.
This one, I think this one could be 20, and people would still take it.
Yeah, I think it would still be good at 20. I think it'd still be good at 25, but yeah. Ultimately, it's not going to matter if every Custodes list is, if every Custodes list is 30 points under because they can't fill a unit gap. It doesn't matter if the enhancers are 20 or 25, right? So
fair. All right, so that's Custodes. I don't really know what.
It's a cool detachment. I look forward to seeing it at the table. It seems very strong. I'm just really glad that it doesn't buff Gladiuses. That's all I'm happy for.
The fact that it excludes vehicles is just like, okay, so you have your Solar Spearhead if you want to play with
my god, there's counterplay.
And then over here you have this. And the interesting thing about this detachment also is that they specifically call out Aquilons.
Yeah.
In the Aelaris rule. Which is kind of cool.
I'm glad it's your command phase and on the battlefield for Unleashed Alliance. That's the one thing that I'm like, okay.
Oh, it'd be so bad if it was the command phase and you could
or in or off the board.
Yeah, I've just uppy downy this unit, or this unit is starting in deep strike, and I'm just going to split it.
To be fair, KR, the +1 damage is +1 SM damage on shield host is 25 points, but you also just never it doesn't get played, so it's okay. Like you can't power creep something that doesn't show up. That's not a thing, I guess.
Yeah, it's still points to this inconsistency that just feels weird.
Yeah, power creep is when something that is being played gets a better version. That's power creep. So something that isn't getting played gets power creep. That's just updating something to be modern game design.
I would probably say that then the Solar Spearhead enhancement that basically does the same thing,
which you absolutely use on a Blade Champion if you're playing a Blade Champion. That's
exactly.
Now you don't always play the Blade Champion that attachment because there are other versions of that build, but that is a perfectly viable attachment. What does that one cost for +1 strength? It's +1 strength AP damage there, right?
That one is called Solar Spearhead. That one is the Adamantine Talisman, I think.
I think that's I think that sounds right. That's 25.
Yeah, that was 25.
That's attack strength and damage, which I think is stronger than AP and damage. But yeah, we're really getting into the weeds on this one. I think that enhancement is better, but it's not 15 points better. But it's also an attachment that's less focused on the characters. It has less restrictions, right? This is Shield Captain only, so being a little bit cheaper because it's a bit more restricted. Like, there are ways and means that you can justify this, but it probably should be 15 or 20 points, not 10. But ultimately, does it fucking matter?
Probably not.
I'm going to be honest, like, I have never once in my life really paid attention to how much an enhancement I want is. I just hit the button on it and move on with my life. I'm just like, I want that enhancement, and then I put it in my list.
And then you find other things. If you find yourself short on points, that's not the thing you cut. You go and rejigger.
No, I'm like, well, I guess the JPIs have to be reavers this game.
I guess this Witch Seeker squad's going to be a Prosecutor squad.
Yeah. Right. Well, who's next?
All right. After that, we've got AdMech. My poor robot boys. They got
Call is so cheap now,
and still you probably won't see him.
I'm beginning to think that you at some point just have to run him for the profile, right?
Yeah, maybe.
Like, he's a battle line model with all of that entails in an army that loves having battle line with lone op, a decently good gun, and just like, he's the profile of a Vindicator.
Yeah. I don't know. We'll see.
He's a chunky boy, dude. I feel like if you're not running him at that point, it's the AdMech Union getting involved. And what was the other change?
I do want to put him on the table, so I probably will do a
terrible.
practice game with him because it's interesting. And then the only other change was Dominus went down 5 points. Whee!
Ooh, that data sheet sure does exist.
Team for fixing the file because the one they uploaded this morning didn't have colors on it, and the one that I'm looking at right now does have colors on it. So yay!
It's a lot better with colors. Colors.
That was a huge upgrade when they started doing the, hey, look, we're going to do colors and arrows that show when things change. Oh, and then the update afterwards, we put point numbers there too. So shout out to whoever on the rules team is putting that together, or maybe it's Warcom doing formatting. Who knows? Aeldari.
So not as many changes as I think people were hoping for here. So we had. Let me see if I can do this one off the top of my head, because there were like 4 changes total, right? 10 points on Wave Serpents, 10 points on Fire Dragons, 15 points on Dark Reaper big squads, 10 points on Striking Scorpion small squads, and that was like basically it, right? And Usherman went to Anti-Infantry 5 up, not 3 up.
Yeah. And the only other change is Dire Avengers went up a point a model.
Oh, Dire Avengers went up 5 points. Oh my god, I remember that because it's insulting because they're one of the worst daysheets in the book.
Yeah. The fact that they went up and Warp Spiders didn't change was just kind of a mode of going,
Yeah. Is the unit that's faster, hits harder, shoots better, and Overwatch is better than and has a better save, better than Dire Avengers. Who knows? The fact that Dire Avengers aren't battle line blows my goddamn mind every time I look at it as well. By the way,
Warriors, why could they be battle line?
I'm like, why can't they just make them OC2 and I'd be okay with the points change?
Yeah,
and then
I think
also
that's
they did
perfect
confirm that Astra Yanari can go in Wave Serpents.
Yes, but that was of course
Look,
they can, but
sure,
kudos to
but
them for fixing
it's not what
I
it
kind of
said.
wish that they had just said, no, you can't put Yanari in here at all.
They definitely weren't ever going to not sell Wave Serpents to Yanari players.
Yeah, I know.
I'm kind of gutted that you can't put Yvrain, Vizark, and 10 Incubi in one, because the Raider only holds 11, the Wave Serpent holds 12, so you can't put 12 in a Radar. I know, but the efficiency, the efficiency.
I know. Yeah, so that's Aeldari.
This is not enough, frankly, right? Like,
no, it's and the fact that they didn't touch things like honestly, lethal intent needs to be like max 6 inches or something.
Yeah, put it to max 7, dude. Just it's the Aeldari thing is 7-inch movement. Just put it to max 7.
Yeah, I don't need to see a Wave Serpent going 14 inches after I kill something in your army.
14? Yours are only going 14? I'm star engineing those movements on lethal intent. It's not restricted.
Oh, I thought that was your movement phase on.
Nope, it's when it moves, my dude.
Oh.
You never seen a Wave Serpent go 14 plus D6 plus 1 and then immediately then again go 14 plus D6 plus 1?
No, but I know I'm going to now, and I'm going to be very mad at you for that.
Yeah, Yadari is frankly fucking cracked. It's very stupid. It's an insane detachment. It does have predators. There are things out there, and the more people play against Yadari, the worse it does. Right? Like it just is a detachment that preys on people not knowing what it does. But ultimately, it's too powerful. It's the worst kind of powerful as well, which is the kind of powerful that feels hopeless when it's happening to you.
Yeah, I mean, you made that sheet that posted in the StatCheck Discord.
Yeah.
And I've seen that actually out in the wild now, because it's just like, here's everything that they can do and how they can do it. Be very careful. Also,
yeah, like the number of times I've had to tell my opponent
you just might not have any agency in this game because of that.
Yeah, the number of times I've had to tell people to just stop shooting my stuff because it's not going to go well for them is frankly insane. I don't really know what else to say besides it's going to be a long 3 months, but it's not all Yanari's fault.
It's not 3 months.
It's going to be a long until whenever the next pack comes out, right? Because that's usually June.
I think we lock Josh in a room with James Kelling from Goonhammer, and he has to play Yanari into him for a week straight until Josh.
But Kelling will play Seer Council the entire time and lose all the games. Sorry, Boone. Love you.
Love you too, Boone. Boone has been very proudly not playing Yanari because James Grover just looked at him and said, "It's busted. Don't touch it." And he went, "Okay." All right. Let's talk guard then. Astra Militarum. All I can say is right off the bat, thank fuck they made they fixed engineers.
Dude, I don't know what it is about the Games Workshop rules team and Indirect of just like any kind, but they're just anytime they could be like, yeah, you don't need line of sight. It's just a mistake every time, right?
It feels like engineers. It was an oversight more than anything else.
Just got that it's adapted to the Saboteur, dodged it on the clapback. Saboteur needing line of sight would have been rough.
Oh yeah, that would have been.
The Saboteur at least is reactive, not offensive, but same concept, right? So what we see on here was a suite of points changes. The big ones being every five signs you run went up 5 points. We saw Krieg Engineers go to needing line of sight, going from D6 to D3 mortal wounds and 2D3 against vehicles. So lowered the ceiling, lowered the floor, and made them line of sight and roared them to 9-inch range. They upped all of the heavy weapons teams for mortars by 15 points. They upped the Krieg field ordnance battery by 10. I'm sure there were
the Cadian one.
That's
the Cadian one from the Cadia stands. They didn't change the new Krieg.
Yeah, they changed the Cadian and Katachan mortar batteries, the mortar backfields, and the field orders battery from the Krieg set. They did not change Krieg weapons teams, which are the Flamer Fire on Death ones. Were there any other changes? I think that's most of them.
The Bombast class Fox array went up.
35
points for the triple order.
Yeah, I mean that enhancement's insanely good, but it's Bridgehead got also then changed to be it got the patented let's take a stratagem that wasn't the best one, make it 2 CP and also worse. that happened to Necrons as well, which is very funny and an interesting balancing decision.
I'm still trying to understand why they felt this was the one that needed to be.
Dude, I think I've had this one used against me one time total, and it was like to kill some Space Marines that he had to shoot for while not on the board. And they took the stratagem that gives you +1 strengthened AP to your hotshot weapons and made it 12-inch range restriction and 2 CP. And then they changed the reroll, the +1 to wound on drop to +1 to hit, which is a good change. That is a very good change. Science did not need to be full +1 to wound, reroll to wound.
My favorite is that they explained it in the Warcom article by saying, since the Scions changed in the Codex, we're going to change this. And went,
yeah. Which, like, I think
someone clearly got doom dropped and went, oh, this is not okay.
Yeah, fair enough. I think the bridgehead changes are fine. It's still a good army. It's still interesting. It's definitely not as good as it used to be. I think there's still plenty of space in Combined Regiment and Mechanized and Hammer of the Emperor to play a good game into basically everybody, but a little bit less toxic indirect, a little bit less random.
And I mean, there's also Recon out there. I just poked in on my buddy John.
Refuse.
He had like 200 guardsmen on the table.
Stop playing 200 guardsmen, people. Like, nobody deserves to have to play against this.
Hey, remember, can you kill 360 cron scripts?
Yes.
Never again. All right.
Yes.
Black
really,
Templars,
for most armies.
Nothing changed. Blood Angels.
He got bloodless. Xless things were removed. You cannot be Xless anymore. You must be playing a Codex Space Marines detachment in order to receive the +1 to wound. Now, I really thought that the word Ultramarines was going to find its way into that paragraph. I really did. I really wanted it to. And I'm a little upset that it didn't.
We'll talk about Marines in a little bit. Or do you just want to talk about all Marines right now?
Let's just do all Marines now. We're at Adeptus Astartes now, right? Surely? We've hit that point.
Doesn't exist as an entry. It's Space Marines for GW now. I don't know why they call them Space Marines now when they came up with the Adeptus Astartes tag. But anyways.
Everybody else still uses their Adeptus bullshit, I guess.
All right. We'll go through the non-codex compliant. So Black Templar saw no changes. Blood Angels Ragefield Warrior went up another 10 points because lol. Dark Angels.
I'll take it.
Nothing?
Nothing. Poor Stormlance.
Yeah, poor Stormlance. I can't reactive move the line anymore. Space Wolves, nothing.
Oh, there were also points drops to some of the Death Company shit in Blood Angels that you're never going to see.
Sure, yeah. I skimmed over that because that's not real. Yeah, they made the Foot Death Company Marines cheaper, and they made the Foot Death Company Marines with bolt rifles cheaper.
They still have terrible rules.
The Death Company Captain went down.
They're starting to hit the point where they like maybe just have like enough mod body for the points. Like 160 points for 10 6-up Field of Pain Space Marine Infantry is not terrible, right?
As a unit of intercessors.
Yeah, it's also the same price as a unit of loot as in a truck. But like, let's not dwell on these things.
I think that's 5 points less.
It is 5 points less. That's true. You can get a whole half a Custodes enhancement with the difference.
All right. I know I'm forgetting a Marine right now. Deathwatch.
Deathwatch. They got a clarification on adaptive strategy that it works on non-mission tactics units, I believe.
Yes. So they did basically say that adaptive tactics or
works on things that aren't just Corvus Black Stars.
Yes, which is good that they gave that clarification because as the rules discussion chat in the Stat Check Discord has gone into it multiple times, with just and the general consensus was,
I think the basic consensus is the Warhammer is really bad and no one should be allowed to interpret It should be allowed to interpret keyword rules. Just ever. Every time we interact with keyword rules in this game, it's the worst.
Yeah. Oh, and they tweaked the Terminator Squad costing.
Oh,
so the 5-man's got 10 points cheaper, but the 10-man's got 10 points. Sorry, the 5-man's got 10 points more expensive, and the 10-man's got 10 points cheaper.
And the full boss lieutenant got taken out back. You were too good, buddy. You were too good for this world. The one source of
no more 3d6 charges at a deep streak.
Respect, buddy. Love you, Lords. You were great for a week.
And I guess we can talk General Marines because that's the Codex non-compliant
ones.
Yeah,
so Blade Guard down
Blade
10.
Guard now 80 points for 3 of them, 160 for 6. That's,
there is a world where I'm just like, and I'll have 3 of everything in Blood Angels still. I'm just like, just like walking up to the like you're doing the stupid order from like that you should leave. Like 3 Blade Guard, 3 Reavers, 3 Incursors, 3 Infiltrators, 3 Predators, 3 Vindicators. Just like
I don't need my +1 to wound. I just got more stuff.
Yeah, you gotta let me go first. I'm doing something.
Yeah, and then they did some slight point hikes because I think was the only
vehicles across the board went up a bunch. So basically, every Predator Annihilator went up 5 in the game, and every Predator Destructor went up 10, and every Vindicator went up 10, except the CSM ones because they were already 185.
Yeah, so basically they made it so regardless of what army you're playing, Predators now cost the same and Vindicators now cost the same.
Which is 135 for Annihilators, 140 for Destructors, 185 for Vindicators.
Yep.
That's just now, that's what they cost. And they put extra up 5 as well because they couldn't leave the Predators on by themselves, but we'll get to that.
Yeah, and then they tapped up Company Heroes. Marnius went up 10, Company Heroes went up 10, and then the Ballistas also went up 10. And for some reason, the Whirlwind
didn't fucking change.
What?
Gulliman didn't fucking change.
Oh, I know. We'll get to that in a second. They did decide that Ventress can no longer deep strike Centurions, which was
to be fair, someone once explained what's like in the lore going on in that situation, which is that like Uriel's the only guy who's figured out how to like ship to site teleport people, right? He's figured it out. And the stratagem for the Raven Guard is like them sneaking away off the battlefield. So in between every turn, what was happening between like the microsecond between phases, that Centurion squad was running away back up to the ship and dropping back down every turn. And frankly, I don't think you can get away with that.
Site to site teleportation.
No, ship to site teleportation.
Oh, okay.
Like he uses like orbital teleporters from the ships to drop people down. That's
like the same way that Terminators come in.
I don't fucking know, dude. I just read the rules.
Let's not poke at this too much.
But like it breaks instantly when you like even remotely apply any sort of thought to it.
Yeah.
But it's now like garbage units only. So Centurion Devastators came down 20 per 3, and they're now 330.
Yeah, they're now 330 for 4, which is fine.
I assume Lennon woke up in a cold sweat before he read the like the erratas. He just read the balance data and was like, "I'm back, baby."
I saw the 40-point drop and went, "What am I missing here? What's going on?" And then we saw the Ventress change. Went, "Oh, this makes more sense now."
Yeah. Real.
Yeah, and then obviously we talked about it. You now have to be running a Codex Space Marines detachment to get your +1 to wound. So no more Bloodless Angels, no more Outer Circle Dark Angels, no more.
I think we were calling it Rightless Crusaders.
All right, sure.
And I don't think there was ever one for like Champions of Fenris, but like I don't know, like Champions of Nowhere or something. I don't really.
Yeah, they're
know.
still running Stormlands. So
they would have been good ones. Yeah, of course they were.
Yeah. So
obviously the mission here is
Liberius Conclave got a massive point hike to.
And I think you have to play. You can't get the psychic keyword off of Inquisitors now as well in that detachment, which criminally hurts like all 3 people that were doing that.
Gratis detachments. Oh, one of the things we missed in Custodes, they decided to buff Solar at the same time as they were nerfing it.
You can go through walls in the charge phase now.
Well, not only that, but it's now just in your movement phase of the charge phase. It's not start of the movement phase.
That's fine. So is every other version of that rule. I don't think it's that big a deal.
I think it's good for consistency because that rule constantly caught people out when being like, oh, I had to do that before I did anything. Now you can go, I'm going to roll in advance, and then I'll pay to go through the wall.
Yeah, for sure. It's a good change.
It's a good change.
Maybe I'm going mad. Maybe what they changed was the ability to join Inquisitors to Deathwatch kill teams. Did that change?
I
can't remember how any of this works.
Give me a second. I'm opening up the Imperial Agents change. Does the Deathwatch kill team listed in the leader sections of the Inquisitor Draxus datasheet specifically refer to the Deathwatch kill team from Codex Imperial Agents? Yes. So you can't take the Deathwatch index kill team and attach Draxus or an Inquisitor.
There you go. People were doing that in Liberius Conclave, and that's what people were.
Yes, that one you can't do anymore.
Good.
Which
as you shouldn't. All right. So yeah, let's talk about the elephant in the room, which is why, in the name of all that is goddamn holy, is Gulliman still 345 points with 2 abilities?
Well, because he didn't work at 285 with only one ability.
Yeah, he did. Quite
No,
distinctly, yes, he did.
that's why they had to give him an additional ability, make him more expensive.
He's so good.
Mm-hmm.
I played exactly one game since the Dataslate dropped, and it was against Gulliman, and I have never been. Just every time I looked over at my opponent's CP counter, it's at 5, and I'm like, what the fuck is going on? Why is it at 5 every turn? You just spent 4 CP. Why is it still at 5?
Well, because they only spent 2.
I know, Jeremy. I know it's still 2. All I did was get grenaded, overwatched, and redrawn at. So why would they be at less than 5 CP? I'll never. I don't understand why the model that requires you to make no trade-offs in a game of Warhammer is being pushed as the best thing to do in Space Marines.
Primarchs
He's also
are
just
cool.
like insanely good in combat and walks through walls now, while not being an infantry model, so that nothing that's like counter infantry works against him. Of course, if he could die to Cankerblade, I'd at least feel okay about it.
Oh, that'd be hilarious. Oh, sorry there, buddy. You should have passed your checks notes. 5 up leadership check.
Yeah, dude, sucks to suck. Sorry, I don't know what to tell you. You should have rolled better.
Yeah,
I am very frustrated that Gulliman is going to continue to exist in the capacity he is for another 3 months. Calgar at
that
least
one I think you can probably
points.
fairly confidently say he's not going to change.
I assume not, because he's he's more expensive than 30 Lutas, so.
Ow. It's more expensive than 20 Lutas and 2 trucks.
Yeah.
No, like
he's more expensive than 20 Lutas and 5 tank bus and 6 tank busters. Or he's like the same points. They're both 345.
I can also say that I'm very mad at John for Lennon for brooding Stormlance for the rest of us, because now the Windswift Evasion, which is the reactive move, only works on infantry and mounted.
Which, to be fair, it was kind of bullshit that it worked on Gulliman and Storm Ravens to begin with. So
I wanted to work on the line. Lion's an agile motherfucker.
Make him infantry then. You could die to Cankerblight, you can have reactive moves.
I can also go in transports then.
Yeah, I think if you would just put no Primarchs, right? If you can't die to Cankerblight, you shouldn't be allowed to reactive move in Warhammer. I think that's just a fair rule that things should have.
I like that, because then you can't lethal intent wave serpents.
Yeah, that's fine. Just if you can't die to Cankerblight, you're not allowed to move in your opponent's turn. That should be, except even with heroic, you're just not allowed to do it.
Yeah, I'm down for that.
Any idea why Teason's tanks got points up? We'll get to Teason's in a bit, but game-wide Predators went up because the chassis is too cheap. Just it is.
Yeah, I swear it was a Control F, or I guess a Control H, where it's just find this, replace.
Yep, as they should, because fuck, Predators are too cheap.
They're definitely the same in World Leaders as they are in Thousand Suns.
It doesn't matter. The chassis shouldn't be that expensive. What's Cankerblight? Cankerblight's a demon enhancement for Plague Legion, which is that if you would fail a morale check within 6 of the bearer, during non-vehicle or monster unit, you pick a model in the squad and it dies. And that's it. That's the only. It's not once per turn. It's not locked or anything. It comes off a
Battleshock test.
Every time you fail a Battleshock test, it comes off a guy that makes every non-vehicle monster within 6 take a Battleshock test at the start of the fight phase, and makes an attachment that makes you take 2 more per command, 1 more in every command phase, and makes you take them on demand if it wants to. I've seen Gazgul and Abaddon and Blade Champions and everything up to and including Calgar die to this guy. He's my favorite model in the game. I unfortunately do not care for the detachment, but he's amazing.
If you haven't played against Plague Legion before, it's a trip.
It's an experience, yeah. If you don't have sticky objective, you're not getting primary, guys.
Pretty much.
Yeah, I think that'd be a good rule.
Anything else notable for Marines, or shall we move on?
Anything else notable? Deathwatch veterans probably makes the best use of the Centurion Devastator change, because Black Spear Task Force does not care that they don't have deep strike. It just pick up and drops them, and they went down 40 points, and they can use mission tactics. It's pretty good. It's pretty good.
Right. Mike, get reactive move to Stormlance Dreadnought into a Storm Raven against me in a TTS practice game and took all my patrons not to throw my laptop through a window. Wait until the Storm Raven also reactive moved.
Back when you could double free strat, watching anything with it was the worst.
All right. Moving on, we're into Chaos Knights. Spicy changes here?
Look, they changed some things, but my eye glazed over when I saw the word knight and not war dog at the beginning of it.
Yeah, the Tyrant went down 30 points because, sure.
Dude, it's
now,
unplayable. Fine, whatever.
Yeah, it's now 480. And then Desecrators and Despoilers now 400, so you can run 5 of them if you want to.
No, but what you can absolutely do is you can run 4 Tyrants in IK, not CK. CK, they're the same data sheet.
You could do that.
Because the Paladin and the Castle are different data sheets.
And you have 80 points left
IK.
over, so you could take the Inquisitorial Agents to hold your backfield.
2 Munitorum Priests, baby. Unfortunately, the Collected Assassin's 85. But
Sad.
all right. Yeah, CK remain completely fine.
Unfortunately,
very
I
little
think
to say on them.
all War Dogs is still the way to play that army.
You still get 14 of them.
You do. CSM made out like bandits.
CSM basically didn't change.
Yeah, like Bile was untouched.
Yep. They got the Predator changes that hit. The Predator changes had already hit CSM. I think the Annihilator went up,
so it was just the Annihilator.
Just the Annihilator went up 5, yeah.
And then Forge Beams went down 10 because people were definitely not taking those.
They were not, and probably for good reason, because they weren't very good. But if everybody's going to be running 10-man Looter squads, maybe, just maybe, it's a Forge Beams time to shine, baby.
Is pretty good to take.
Yeah, dude. I'm just saying, Cogs of Astor. If you kill yourself before the enemy shoots, Orcs can't cable you, and you get the pleasure. You get the 20-0.
I'll die on my own terms. And then we had the Disco Lord come down. He's still trash.
The Disco Lord is still mounted. The Disco Lord, on the other hand, can die to Canker Blight, so should be allowed to reactive move.
Yeah. Oh, we skipped over Chaos Demons. I'll be right back. I gotta use the washroom real quick, but you can.
Cool. So Chaos Demons. Oh god, where do we begin? So Chaos Demons, we have a few different categories. We have Legion of Excess, we have generic demon changes, and we have their new detachment. So let's start at the top and talk about Legion of Excess. Now, many words have been said on this show about our true, deep, and abiding love for the playstyle of Legion of Excess, and all I can say is I'm truly, truly saddened to see its removal from the game, because this detachment does not exist anymore. So not only did all of the Emperor's Children datasheets get ported over for Slaanesh from the Emperor's Children Codex to the new updated Demons Index, meaning that Shalaxi is lost her Cloak of Constriction and picks a unit at the start of the battle round to get rerolls against not all vehicles and characters, and also lost her 5-up Field of Pain, and the same thing happened to Keepers, and Fiends lost their -1 to hit aura and now have the Warp Tile and Desperate Escape rule again, and Demonettes are now big to take battle shock tests instead of having reroll hits. Just like a whole bunch of terrible things. And also Chariots left the game. They're just gone, along with Karanak, who's a plastic model. Very confusing. Really, just a broad white super changes. If that had been it, I think the Slaanesh would have been probably a lot worse. But also, Thieves of Pain now is 6-inch range and requires line of sight, or 9-inch range and requires line of sight. I don't have it off the top of my head. The Battle Shock you when you shoot them stratagem got changed. And I actually think this is a good change for this one, where it's now just a -1 to hit stratagem, but it works in the fight phase again, or works shooting and fight phase. So, okay, fair enough. -1 to hit and get an additional phase in it. And then also, Seductive Gambit got changed to reroll ones to hit and wounds, not all hits and wounds, unless you're in Shadow, where it becomes reroll hits and reroll ones to wound. Oh boy, is this a category case study of how to murder an army. This is not a patented triple nerf. This is the patented decouple nerf. I think there's 10 individual nukes in here, any 3 of which probably would have been enough to put this army down to a 50% win rate, and they all dropped. Losing data sheets, losing Feel No Pains, losing stratagems, losing rerolls, just army wide, they just got put in the bin. I think it's kind of terrible now. There might be a world where I really don't think there is a world where it's good enough. It really just thinks it's just not an army anymore. Sorry, Slaanesh players, your datasheets suck. Sorry they got printed in the Emperor's Children Codex. Because I don't really have anything to say here. There just isn't a Legion of Excess anymore, I don't think. Maybe they're still a build here. Fiends are still a quite good datasheet damage output-wise, but without reroll wounds, I just don't think it gets there. Yeah, I don't really have a lot else to say on this one. Now, there is good news for Demons. There is a lot of really cool stuff in the Demons Index update. There are so many data changes. I would definitely recommend going and having a read of it. I'm going to skim through some of the highlight ones that I caught, but I'm definitely not going to catch everything. So let's start at the beginning. So let's do this Slaanesh stuff, covered already, especially if you've seen the Emperor's Children book. Let's talk Nurgle. So the main ones, for me, the Great and Clean ones now have a 6-up Field of Pain natively, instead of having an aura of 6-up Field of Pain, and their aura got changed to +1 toughness. This also applies to Rodigus, who now has a 6-up Field of Pain aura, and his aura got dropped to a movement and dosage reduction aura instead of a halving aura. So it's a little less potent in general, but definitely still quite good. So interesting change of the Great Clean one. Pushing the Great Clean with the toughness 13 is a very real breakpoint. Fortunately, Vindicator's are strength 14 for some goddamn reason. But putting it above the point where Caladius is wounded on 4s, putting it to 5s, last cannons, a lot of very relevant breakpoints are 12 in Warhammer. The Great Clean pushing past one and also being able to take Plague Bearers to 6, Beasts of Nurgle to 10. Like interesting aura here. Definitely does a decent amount of work. Nurglings got changed to -1 to hit when you're in combat with them. It is not when you attack the Nurgling specifically, but it is just a -1 to hit while you're in combat with Nurglings for non-Titanic models now. So it used to be vehicles and models in a 6-inch aura, which was good, but had its limitations. It was very good to like rapid ingress Nurglings behind your melee units and that kind of thing. We saw that a lot when Accursed Cultists were popular, whereas now they're a bit more of like maybe they're a heroic threat kind of thing. And commensurately, they got a 5-point drop at every tier of their points cost. So they're now 35 for 3 and 60 for 6. Now, hilariously, this does mean that 54 of them are 540 points, and in the new Shadow Legion attachment, do think that that's kind of interesting and a thing that I would like to try putting on the table sometime. But
especially now that they have +1 toughness.
I mean, you're just not going to run a K1 in that detachment because +1 toughness doesn't matter a ton when you're -1 to wound anyway. But
well, in Plague Legion, it's funny.
In Plague Legion, it's funny, yeah. But again, Plague Legion only exists for canker play. It's not the thing I consider in my day-to-day life.
Fair.
Were there any other major Nurgle changes? I think that was it for Nurgle. I covered Great Clean one.
I was able to
and
catch.
I guess
the Great Unclean one's weapons got better.
Oh, okay, go for it. I didn't catch that.
Yeah, let me pull it up real quick.
Okay, so the Bile Sword is now 10 2d6 plus 1 instead of 8 2d6.
Yeah.
While its sweep stayed the same. The Doomsday Bile is the same, and the Bile Blade is the same. So its big weapon got a point of damage.
Big weapon that actually might kill,
anything.
A couple Gravis Marines.
Yeah, and it still has the -1 toughness aura or -1 toughness ability, so it effectively punches its strength kind of 11, but better than strength 11. Yeah, that's a lot more interesting, especially when you're still running the 4-up Field of Pain enhancement.
Yeah, a T13 4-up Invul and 4-up Field of Pain model that just sits in the middle and kind of goes high.
It actually does something now, right? Where it actually has some melee output.
Yep.
Yeah, definitely interesting. I think Demonic Incursion will continue to be interesting off the back of its Greater Demon ability and the generally interesting big ones. Now, I did Slaanesh already because I talked about Legion of Excess and how dead it is. You can add some comments on Legion of Excess in a minute if you like. But
the only thing that you missed was Transweaver and Demonettes now have fight first.
Oh, good for them. Didn't the Transweaver always have fight first?
Transweaver gave it to her unit when she was leading.
Okay, so the Demonettes just have fight first now.
Yeah.
Oh, that's kind of cool.
And I don't think she has it now on her datasheet as well because they changed her datasheet ability. But
sure. All right. So Tzeentch. Now the main one that I caught, Fate Weaver. Now his CP generation aura is just like when you use a CP within 6, you get one.
No, and then his old one was when you spent it within range of him, you had to roll a d6, and if the die was higher than the current battle round number, you got a CP, which was like great turn 2 and 3, and then horrible later on. Now it's in your command phase. At the end of your command phase, take a leadership check on him. You pass it, you get a CP.
Yeah, pretty
simple, pretty reliable generation for that army.
Yeah, I mean, he's leadership effectively 5, right? So it's better than what Abaddon gets, but Abaddon gets multiple chances at it, which seems fine. I didn't think there were any other major changes, like the Fate Skimmers. Screamers got updated to have the same Screamer profile as Screamers. But other than that
was an oversight thing more than anything else, so good to see that they caught that. Yeah. And then Flamers got cheap.
Flamers are 65 points now. They still don't do anything, but they are cheap.
No, but just like cheap mission play units, they're real good.
Yeah, I mean, they're still, not as good as War Spiders. Beast of Nurgle got Scout 6. That is pretty relevant.
Oh, yeah, that is very funny.
Yeah. Shadow in the Warp changed. I did miss that.
Did it?
Apparently, it doesn't have the -1 leadership anymore. Let me double check that.
I definitely missed that if that's the case. Index Chaos Demons. You guys are making me re-download this because I thought I knew everything.
I love our chat. It knows so much more than us.
No, it's still -1. Demonic Tear while an enemy unit is within your army. Shadow of Chaos under is within 6 inches of yada yada yada.
Yeah, subtract 1 from that test.
Yeah, subtract 1. And if you fail, take D3.
Oh, it doesn't give us the leadership checks. Ah, got it. Oh, that's a shame. Okay.
Nope, still takes 1 plus 1.
No, Kairos just doesn't get it on a 6+.
Oh, yeah, because it's a battle shock test, not a leadership test. That's what you say. Okay.
Cool. That's a shame. Kairos should be leadership 5. Demons should just get to be leadership 5. That feels like a thing. All right. Khorne?
Scarbrand Fox.
Scarbrand kind of slams. Advance and charge on profile is...
Advance and charge on profile and plus 2 inches of move. And his aura works on him now.
All monsters now, so get that nice Be'lakor spicy up.
Got a pip of AP.
And so did his shooting attack.
His shooting attack,
and 2 points of strength.
Attack went from 501 to 811.
Yep. And still 2d6 shots. He also gained a point of save, right? He wasn't 3-up save.
Yeah,
before.
He has all of the named graders, I think, now have a 3-up armor.
All of the named Khorne graders in Be'lakor. I don't think the Kairos got one and stuff like that, right?
Maybe Kairos didn't. Okay.
Yeah, Kairos is still 6-up save. And the Great and Clean one also didn't get that.
So then it's just the Khorne ones.
Yeah, the Khorne and Be'lakor got a 3-up save. He's still tough as 11. He's now significantly faster.
Also popped a tiny nerf that no one's going to notice because no one was running it. If you run the little axe with the flail, it's now D3 plus 1 as opposed to the D6 plus 1 it was before.
Which is sometimes a buff, sometimes a nerf. Like
D3 plus 1 versus D6 plus 1.
No, it went from D6 to D3 plus 1.
Oh, sure.
So
even so, you were never running it anyways.
Yeah, because you traded out the attack for the
not only that, but your sweep damage 1 with that one, whereas with the Great Axe, the sweep is damage 2. So
yeah, you lose the shooting attack that nobody's there for. The Bloodthirster continues to be kind of terrifying.
Yeah.
Biggest glow up unit in the game though, Fleshhounds.
Yeah.
One of anyway. No, they're not. Again, they're not looters, but they're pretty close.
Within this index.
Yeah, Fleshhounds now have up down. Which is just a hell of a roll. Fleshhounds, demons didn't have any natural sources of this, so in any attachment that didn't have it anyway, which was, the only ones that had it, I believe, were Incursion and Scintillating Legion. You get this really awesome buff. They were already really good with Rendmasters.
Yeah.
They remain really good with Rendmasters, and now they are also incredibly good mission scoring assets. They randomly do have a Flamer. Don't forget that.
And they're still pretty cheap.
Yeah, they're still just 70 points.
75 for 5, yeah.
75, yeah. They were one of the more interesting units in the game I played with Demons already.
GMTH, Bloodletters Frost, reroll wound rolls of 1, yes, but they gained 2 inches of movement, and now they force Desperates. I don't think that's actually enough.
Yeah, no one ever noticed the loss of reroll 1 to wounded anyway.
Because Bloodletters never killed anything in melee anyways.
Nope. Juggernauts, or Blood Crushers, lost a point of invulnerable save, but gained a point of armor, which is definitely a downgrade. Being 3-up, 5-up instead of 4-up, 4-up is definitely a real cost. I still don't hate them. There's a detachment, obviously, we're going to talk about Shadow Legion in a bit, but it's not. I don't think they're the best in Incursion.
Yeah, I think they're fine.
They're fine. And there was one more thing for Khorne. Was there? No, I think that's it for Khorne. Right, and then Be'lakor. Be'lakor went up 50 points. Yeah. It's probably worth it. I think he's still a difficult data sheet to evaluate, but he gained.
I think that he still sits in the spot where if you're playing Incursion or the detachment that we're about to talk about, he is not a must take, but a good option.
A very reasonable inclusion. Yeah.
Yeah, because he's now 375. Yeah,
375. Yep. So he gained a point of toughness, 2 wounds, and a 3-up save, which is very relevant. 3-up save is a big... Demons dying to bolters is really annoying, and having a 3-up save against them, like being in cover and getting a 3-up save against AP1 stuff, really stops like a lot of the bleeding from just like randomly.
I mean, Blood Legion had a strat to give yourself a 3-up armor.
Yeah, for sure.
Which
feels a little counterproductive now, but yeah.
I guess it works on letters.
Sick, dude. I don't even know if it does.
Be'lakor also gained an extra attack on his strike. He went from 6 to 7 attacks.
Yep,
and he
swapped to lethal hits for devastating wounds on that strike,
which is quite nice.
So devastating wounds a lot better than lethal hits. Before? He did not. I believe that was also lethal hits.
Okay, so just overall melee glow up, and
then his aura's changed. Yeah,
Yeah, so the no touchy and Paul of Despair. No touchy was still the same. Can't be targeted outside of 18 inches with ranged attacks when you're within 6 inches of him. That's pretty cool. Paul of Despair, the base ability is the same, but now he heals D3 every single time someone feels Battle Shock within 9 of him. Which, if you're within 6 of him, that means you're taking D3 and he's healing D3.
And you're at -1 for those deaths because he's nearby.
Yeah.
Yeah, boy. And then his other one, which was, I couldn't even tell you what his third aura was, but I think it was reroll battle shock tests. Yeah,
it's like reroll battle shock and leadership for demons within 6. Now it's reroll hit rolls of 1.
It's a lot better.
Yeah. Now Bellicor kind of goes, I don't have to roll on 1s anymore, just 1s into 1s.
You're gonna sit next to 3 soul grinders, Kairos, and a Lord of Change and shoot you.
Oh. Make it stop.
What? Run at me, dude. Run at me. It's fine. There's not demons here. Soul grinders aren't good in combat. Soul grinders aren't good in combat. It's fine. Yeah, I think Bellicor. Well, I am excited for demons. This is a cool army.
Oh yeah. Now, one of the fun things is the +2 wounds is both a buff and a nerf.
Look, your opponent's never going to drop it down on the turn they kill Bellicor. That's just not a thing. It's just not a thing. Don't worry.
And also, honestly, if those 2 points hurt you that badly, it's
exactly. Right. Shall we talk about Shadow Legion?
Yeah. Also,
Shadow Legion is really cool. It's just 5 static buffs. So, like, your core stuff gets advanced in charge. Your Slanesh stuff doesn't exist.
Slanesh stuff can't be overwatched.
Can't be overwatched. Yeah. Your Nurgle stuff gets mini transhuman, so -1 to hit, strength 3 and toughness. Your Tzeentch stuff gets flat -1 to hit, which is hilarious.
It's so annoying to deal with.
Undivided stuff.
So today, and I just kind of went, please stop.
Yeah, I put against Ultramarines. All my stuff was just dying anyway, and none of the defensive tools mattered just at all. But can't win them all.
And then Bellicor and any Heretic Astartes models that you take, can you start
reroll get pacts? Yeah, and Bellicor auto passes because obviously he's praying to himself. He wasn't gonna fail.
This is like Bastor and the Vastor detachment. He's just making a pact with himself, and so obviously it's just like, good job, Bellicor.
Yeah, Bellicor making a pact with himself is what I think happened when the designers wrote this detachment. They were making a pact with themselves afterwards.
And then Heretic Astartes get deep strike, which is kind of cool.
Real good.
Yeah. But you're limited. You can only basically take infantry, and even not all of them.
Infantry, except Master of Executions and Obliterators, is broadly the list.
Yeah.
But there's a couple of other.
You can take all variants of the Chaos Lords. You can
take no Nemesis Claw, etc.
I almost feel like Nemesis Claw might get added in.
They definitely shouldn't. That's a Night Lords unit.
Should only be allowed in Dread Talents then.
Sure, I would. The nerf bile needs.
Anthony would be so mad if that happened.
But
basically, you can't take any Demon Princes, and you can't take any Epic Heroes.
The only reason I'm not playing Kairos, by the way.
When I played this morning, one of my friends didn't realize that and had put Shellac and had put Selesky in the detachment, and I went, "Yeah, that'd be really good if she could go in that detachment because you can't Overwatch Selesky, and you kind of go, oh shit." But yeah, and so basically a whole bunch of foot guys, but they all get deep strike now, so it's kind of cool.
Yeah, so stuff like, and then stratagems are great, enhancements are great. The notable enhancements are the Warp Talon rule, so when you kill something, go back and reserve at the end of the fight phase as long as you're out of engagement range, which is wildly hilarious on a incredible variety of things, up to and including a Bloodthirster. Or potentially,
I played into it with Blood Crushers, and that was so annoying.
Yeah, Blood Crushers is great until you had what happened to me in my game. You charge you mortal wound your charge target to death, and you're like, oh, I didn't kill anything in the fight phase, and you can't leave. That one's really annoying. Don't have that happen to you.
And then the other one is a 9-inch scout enhancement.
9-inch scout enhancement. The other thing I was going to say is that's also quite good on Chaos Terminators if you want to go that route. Chaos Terminators do not hate going back in reserve for free every turn. Because then they can free rapid ingress with the Chaos Lord.
Kill something in melee.
You can free rapid ingress them back in with the Chaos Lord. It's kind of cool. I like it on Chosen as well. Like Chosen with advanced charge can ingress in some slightly more defensive places. Like there's loads of ways you can use this.
Yeah, I'd like it on a unit of Chosen Blood Crushers, maybe a Thirster, but I'm putting a scout enhancement on my Thirster because who doesn't love a Thirster that goes 21 inches with D6
so that's the Bloodfaster. I think that guy sucks because you just hit screens. That's all he hits. He just connects to whatever's in front of your opponent's indicator. Sick dude, you can't fly over a unit that's behind a wall. That's like in a wall. It's just he's gonna connect to screens every game. A Cursed Cultist is also a good place to put it.
Yes, put that on a Dark Commune unit, and it's so annoying.
Yeah, Dark Commune Cursed Cultists.
Did you take Dark Apostles?
I have no idea.
Yes, you can. Okay.
Cool. You're not going to. You're going to take Dark Communes.
No, but I was just
Then
wondering because that would have been a very funny one if Dark Apostle.
there's also like an interesting Battle Shock one that's kind of fun on a Raptor Captain, because you could like free strike grenade, do the Mortals, Shadow Mortals, do the Raptors take a Battle Shock test at the start of the fight phase Mortals. You could just like dump it like 15 mortal wounds out of a Raptor squad with a Chaos Lord, which I think is kind of cool.
2 to 5 it does D3, and on a 6 it does 3.
Yep.
It's cute.
Yeah, as Mike says, your opponent has to be intentionally trying to leave a spot for Bloodthirsters to land for fly to matter, or you have to roll like a really big charge that you're just like balling out on.
I'm just saying, someone's going to do it, and it's going to be really annoying when they do.
Look, I did it in my first game. It'll never happen to Chris again.
Oh, poor Chris.
He will never lose a Vindicator top of 1 to a Bloodthirster again.
Ooh,
now, which unfortunately is not even remotely close to a fair point trade as well. I lost that Bloodthirster immediately to a Blue and Ultramarines army with other targets.
Oh yeah, the 185 and the Bloodthirster with the enhancement was like
320.
Wow, Jesus, never mind.
Yeah, it's real expensive. I don't think it's good, but I don't think this guy is good on it, unfortunately.
Yeah, and there's like I would say there's 3 good strats and then 2 situational ones.
Yeah, so obviously the up down is fantastic. You could up down a CSM unit and a Demons unit. The ignore cover one has the same thing. You can ignore cover on a Lord of Change or Soul Grinder, and then also put it on a unit of Last Cannon Havocs that are sat in Bellacor's Aura, because Bellacor's Aura does work on everything in the detachment. It works on all of your Legion
Shadow
stuff.
Legion units.
And then the other one that I used a decent amount was the Lance and +1 AP stratagem,
Yep.
which is obviously just a generically good stratagem. It's Lance and then +1 AP for Khorne, and then a bunch of other ones that like are situational. Heal 3, bring a model back if it's Zinch.
Flat 3 is actually very powerful.
Yeah, flat 3 is good, but it's kind of one of those stratagems that's like, spending a CP for heal 3 is generally not one of the best things you can be doing with your CP, right? Especially in an army that has access to grenades. Chaos Demons with grenades, guys. That's all we really want in life.
Yeah. And then
but being able to do things like up down your cultists off your backfield once they've stickied it.
God damn it. The one that's just a complete miss is the Spiteful Demise, where it's just kind of like, okay. So
yeah, I mean, is that a miss because Slanesh data sheets are bad, or is it a miss because it's a bad stratagem?
Miss because it's a bad stratagem. I just pretend the Slanesh part of it doesn't exist.
That's fair too. Now, Nurglings are hilarious in this stratagem with -1 to hit and -1 to wound from being Nurgle. They are very, very obnoxious to kill. Yeah, like you could feasibly charge like a 6-man into Calgar squad and still be there if you weren't oathed, and that's just funny.
Yep.
I'm gonna wrap Calgar with Nurgling so he has the desperate escape. Fall back and shoot now, you punk.
And then you go back into 2-strike, and then when you set up, you pass your battle shock, and some Nurglings come back.
So that is a notable thing here, actually. With the Chaos Swords in this attachment, because they changed the way that the targeting works for free strats a while ago, if you target a Chaos Lord and a Demons unit with a stratagem, you can still make it free for both targets. So you can do stuff like a Chaos Lord can pick up his unit of Chosen or Terminators or whatever, and then also lift the Lord of Change or Bellacore with him, and then they can go off into reserve and roll into the sunset, which is good. Free strats are always powerful, guys. Yeah, I think the attachment's insanely good. I played one game with it. My Beast of Nurgle walked into the middle like, I'm going to be... and immediately got one-shot by Blisters. Sorry, I didn't get one-shot by Blister Dreadnought. Blister Dreadnought walked out to shoot it, and I got one-shot by the Heavy Bolter from the Company Hero Squad.
9 wounds, right?
7. Toughness 9.
Still.
I failed all 3
Heavy Bolters to go through.
3 hits on me, 3 wounds. I failed all 3 saves. Die. It's only a 5-up save.
Just beast things. Sometimes they'll tank an entire army. Sometimes they just kind of go, eh.
Yep, it's awful. Yeah, I didn't play with any of the CSM data sheets because I'm testing it for teams where I wouldn't necessarily have CSM access. But yeah, I really like the idea of things like Last Cannon Havocs in this attachment, or All Cannon Havocs. Not All Cannon. Reaper Chain Cannon Havocs. You sit them in the Bellacore, you got your real ones to wound. Soul Grinder is very interesting in this attachment for the same reason. The Zinch ones have quite long range. And they also get that flat -1 to hit. Like flat -1 to hit on a Soul Grinder. It's a pretty good debuff. So yeah, I look forward to seeing some experimentation with this. I think it's the kind of thing that Demons players should have been looking for, and it's definitely more interesting a playstyle for people to play against the Legion of Excess. I think this one's actually just kind of nailed it.
Yeah, it feels like a nice Demons attachment, and it doesn't feel unfair to play into.
Yeah. Now that's the only new army that they launched this balance patch, so hopefully that should be the longest one done with. So Death Guard.
I think the only change was to
the Predator changes.
Yeah, I think that was it.
Death Guard are a pretty good place. You can play Plague Marines, you can play Death Guard, you can play tanks. Morty's probably a little too cheap still, but
Annihilator went up 5, Destructor went up 10. Oh, actually, no. Mephitic Blighthauls went out 5, and that's actually pretty spicy.
Wow, are they still just worse than everything else?
85 points for a multi-melta and a missile launcher. That
They're
are
still just worse than drones, though, right? I wonder at what point you consider 3 of them over a Predator and a drone, but
probably at 75.
Because a Predator and a drone is 230 now. 3 of them is 255. I don't know. That's a maybe. They're so slow. Close. They're so slow. But they're just they're rhinos defensively. Rhinos are pretty good. Yeah, Death Guard still okay. Just a fine army right now.
Drukhari,
minus 10 points on
Cablites went down 10, and that's basically it.
Good for Drukhari.
Drukhari failed in his LVO mission to make the bomber 300. It's still 235, so we'll continue to traumatize the locals.
I'm just proud I managed to make it fly off the board.
Nice.
Off of I made it fly off the board off a rapid ingress. I was proud of that.
Oh, that's whoops.
Movement is powerful, guys.
It'd be a real shame if you couldn't shoot the turn after paying to come in.
I just charged with 20 mans. It was great.
Love it. We're not going to talk about Emperor's Children because
they get another enhancement. What changed with enhancements? Drukhari shouldn't be getting things.
No. Dorian's basically saying with the 20 points you save, you can add another.
Oh, okay. That was fine. I was worried Drukhari got something. I was like, hold on, I don't like that. I lost to them.
No, they're perfectly fine. Genestealer Cults, I'm really sorry, innocent floof, but apparently this was targeted.
What did I do wrong? Don't worry about it. I don't.
Only change for them. The only change, they didn't tweak the resurrection points. They didn't tweak the values. They didn't change anything else. They just said 20 men neophyte blobs plus 15 points.
I don't know what I did wrong. Who did I upset? Who from the balance did I play?
Was the current host build 120?
110.
110. So
I went up 75
45
points.
Point hike.
75.
75, right.
It's rough. It's not perfect. I'm kind of worried that Host Lack loses his critical mass with this, especially with some of the other sort of meta games. So I'm going to be having a look at some other directions.
Do you go to 100?
So probably going to 100 is like the 10 man is better than a lot of the 20 mans a lot of the time, and it's like, and then you go down to 90 and you're like, oh man, I'm only playing 90. Like, am I actually doing enough? And then you're like, well, what if I just played? And if you want to put a real unit in, right? Though, so Genestealer Cults, all of their units with characters cost like 200 plus points. So if you cut a neophyte squad to put in something, that thing is more expensive than the neophytes were. Because the character is more expensive than the primus or whatever. Like it cascades away, and you're like, well, by the time that I put 70 in, by the time I go down to 90, in order to fit something in, I have to cut another 10, so I'm down to 80. It just cascades away from it, or you run out of your chaff scoring. I don't know if I hit the point where I'm like, excited about this. For me, I'm just
bouncing around to do there, but it's
Genestealer Cults are fine. This for me, I am probably going to stop playing the Host of Ascension build for a bit. I'm a little bored of it anyway, and as always, whenever I lose a super major with something, it's dead to me. So Host of Ascension, awful army now. I've lost exactly one game like a competitive career with it, so it must be terrible now. So I've got to move on to something else. Got to move on to the new shiny. New is always better.
Time to play some Final Day.
All right, you want me to voluntarily opt into playing Gargoyles? I don't know if I can get behind that.
Oh, the number of times I played against someone who had gargoyles and they were apologizing of trying to fiddle everything out. Just put the bases on the table. I don't care. I know that monkey pain.
You're glued to the bases because it's the only way to transport them without them breaking.
And yet still somehow half of them are broken by the end of the
day. Yeah. It's so much worse that way. Right. Grey Knights.
Okay, so they fixed Warp Bane's indirect, so they don't get rerolls.
Ruben, you screwed it up, dude. Ruben Zhao. He was literally on the show yesterday. Anthony was like, and Ruben was like, yeah, dude, you don't even need to run purifiers. You just indirect the purgations anyway. And immediately, for his hubris, he has been smitten down.
Yep. And then Interceptors went down 5 points. So,
hey, Interceptors are cool. They were really good at supporting purgation squads, unfortunately.
Whoops. Ruben, bro, we were meant to buff them. Sorry, Ruben.
I think Warpbane remains exactly where it is in the meta, which is that it's kind of
on
fine, but not that great. It's kind of fine, but it's just kind of, it feels a little bit gatekeeper in terms of its overall results so far. It's clearly a good army, but it's not by any means busted. And I think this is a good change for interactivity, because indirect is stupid and it shouldn't be good.
Every time that they've buffed indirect, they kind of went, whoops, take that away.
As they should, Ruben.
All right. Imperial Agents, the Collectus went down 15 points. I don't know why, but okay.
I mean, it was kind of terrible. Does the Collectus rule still not work, by the way? Like the Battle Shock thing? So the Collectus' Battle Shock timing is awful. So if you use it in the command phase, right? It's in the command phase, use the ability. So if you use it in your opponent's command phase, it's beginning of command phase at the timing on it. So if I use it at the beginning of your command phase with you as the active player, you choose to sequence it so that goes off, then you on Battle Shock for the turn. So until that gets fixed, I think the Collectus could be 50 points, and I'm not going to give a toss because it just doesn't, half its rule doesn't work. You can't use it offensively. You can't use it to score primary. You can only use it to like stop your opponent doing strats in your turn, but you can't rapid ingress into that.
On your end.
Yeah, dude, great. So, but like, you can't even like rapid ingress into being in range of the aura anymore, which is the thing you could do to try to score primary before, because it's a 6-inch aura off of a 3-inch rapid ingress.
And now the rapid has to be at 9.
Rapid is at 9, so it doesn't even work. Like, I don't know what the Collectus is meant to be doing anymore.
Yes, clear its compensation points so you don't feel so bad paying 40 points for your Extremis gear and Veiled Blade.
I don't even know what that one does. I'm pretty sure I read that and was like, I'm just never running a
use the grenade. It gives them +1 on grenade rolls.
Oh yeah, they get grenade on 3s, don't they? Yeah, I definitely read that one. I was like, so you play 3 assassins in this detachment. All right, agents continue to be tangentially a real army.
Sure, yeah, they're great allies. Votann, literally no changes. Sorry, they fucked with our army rule a little bit and made it so that the army rule now gets 2 tokens, and Oathband detachment rule gets 2 tokens, so that Hearthband still starts with 2 units with 2 tokens.
Hearthband still kind of exists.
Yeah, and Oathband got worse.
I mean, relatively, right? It still does the same thing. It still gets 2.
Yeah, here's the problem, though, is that now, instead of triggering your CP off any of the 4
you only get it off 2 of the units.
Which then means, and I was playing Votann this morning into Demons, and that was exactly what I went through my usual cycle of, these are the 4 things I want to token. I didn't think about which ones were which, and then went, oh, I actually have to choose those a little more carefully now. Because if I
don't think it's that big a deal. It's usually kind of telegraphed.
It's a little bit of extra mental burden. I don't think it actually matters that much. It's just more of it will take adjustment because our army rule has been unchanged for over a year.
In the general sense, you're going to mark, like, most Votann players I know still use the tokens that came in the box, the 1, 2, and 3. You'll mark 2 things with 2 and 2 things with 3, right? Yeah. Like, simples. But yeah, it's definitely a thing that you'll have to get used to a little bit again.
Yeah, and the ones that you mark with 2 are just going to be the army rule ones, because they don't give you anything special, and they just count like any other 2 token units. So it's fine.
But Votann remain fine.
Changes, so they're fine. They're in a.
And they have to work so hard to get the role that Custodes just get for showing up, man.
Necrons.
Doomsday plus 10.
DDA plus 10, and I think that's all I saw.
I think that's it. I think that's all they needed. Doomsday's.
I don't think they even needed that.
It's fine. I think it's fine. I think I'm so sick of Doomsday arcs.
I don't disagree. But yeah. All right. Well, the real elephant in the room now, Orks.
Can we do Orks last?
Okay, let's do Orks last, because that's just going to make me mad. Okay, Space Marines we already talked about. Thousand Suns. Or sorry, Space Wolves. Tau. Let's talk about Tau, because Tau did get a detachment.
I mean, yeah, the app has Tau last in the T's because of the apostrophe, but okay.
Yeah,
so Tau
I made the same thing. I went.
I'm going to be honest. I read the Tau detachment and I retained approximately none of it.
Yeah, basically what it comes down to is you get plus 6-inch range on your cool shit.
Yeah, it's like I read it and I was like, this has cool enhancements and okay stratagems and does nothing for the core problem of Tau, which is that it's really expensive and it dies pretty fast.
Yeah, pretty much. Like, you can heal battle suits. Cool.
You can heal battle suits. You can get like a +1 shot, +1 strength, +1 AP, +1 damage plasma rifle on a captain. You can have Farsight Squad free strat for 1 billion fire knife missile shots at 822, which is kind of cool. Like, it's got a whole bunch of like
you've got
things that sound cool in isolation. Transhuman for suits, load up 18 for suits. sustained lethal hazardous or sustained lethal or both for hazardous, which is really cool on Fire Knives with full rerolls.
Yep.
It feels
or you
fine.
can strength or AP or do both.
Yeah, like it feels fine. It's an interesting attachment. It gives TIE players something what they want, but I really don't see why this couldn't have just been some buffs to Ret Cadre. Is the truly confusing thing for me. But
Yeah.
now I get that they only had 4 detachments.
I'll take Donald Plummer's read on this. He's one of the best Tau players I know, and he just said, yeah, the Tau detachment is good for the mid table, not for the top table.
Now they did drop Rampagers for Orks Cadre though.
They did do a bunch of Kroot drops. That is true. The Lone Spear, the Rampagers, and I think that's it.
Rampager.
85 for 3 models is actually pretty spicy.
Dude, that's almost getting to the loot point level.
Stop.
I can't help it.
I know. All right, Thousand Suns. This went up 5. The Predators changed the same way they did. Vindicator changed as everyone else did. And then the weird thing is Zangors in 20s went down. Cultists in 20s went down. Zangor Enlightened in big units went down. And then Terminators and the Termisork went down.
I think the Termi going down is kind of cool.
Yeah, like now, like a 10-man brick with the Sorcerer and the Crystal, I think is like 480.
Damn, dude, that's I'm not. I can't do it. I can't say it again.
That's like 4 units of Ludas.
Does a Luda squad one shot it? That's my question.
If it got a SAG with them, probably.
Without a SAG, just raw rolls. It's in the open. You pop the strat for +1 AP. Does it one shot it? You get 49 hits. You get 25 wounds. They fail 12.5 saves. You kill 6 with a 100-point Luda squad.
Doesn't kill the unit.
2 CP. And with 1 CP and 100, you kill 6. Oh, sorry. And then you have the 6 last cannon shots, which should hit another 3 times. Wounding another 3, killing another 1 to 2.
What's the last cannon from? Oh, it's this banner.
The 3 custom Mega Blast.
Yeah.
The 2 custom Mega Blasters.
Oh, God. Fuck. All right. So, yeah, T-Suns are fine.
If you ran the rockets, you'd get D3 shot blast. You might kill them.
Okay. Tyranids. Let's make you sad.
Yeah, T-Suns are in the coming out soon window as well, right? Yeah, as you said.
Yeah. This is the thing. T-Suns, Death Guard, World Eaters are kind of like, eh?
Yeah, they're all, except Thousand Suns, all in pretty good spots and don't really need a ton. Whatever.
I think
+5 MVP miss blows. MVPs are stupid at 140 or whatever they were. They should be like 180 point models. Whatever.
Well, they're 165 now, so I think that's fine.
It's fine. Take away their 5 Feel No Pain and they give you cheaper than an Exocrine. Until then.
Yeah.
All right, Tyranids.
Yeah. Exocrine's now 140, so.
Dude, Predators went up 5.
The Hive Giant went down 10. Cool. Neurolictor went down 10. And the Tranifex went up 10. Oh, and the
Neuro Tyrant came down 10? Did that happen? Or am I going mad? Or was it just Neurolictor?
Just Neurolictor.
That's a shame. Yeah, I mean, like, it basically washes out for most nid lists, but Vanguard and Final Day make it a little better. Crusher makes it a little worse.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, World Eaters. This is the one I don't understand.
That is the most interesting change for Genestealer Cult, by the way. That's the genuine.
The Final Day buff.
Yep.
All right. And then World Eaters, they got the Predator change. The Juggerlord went down 20 points. He's now 80. Anthony still thinks you don't take him, so.
Yeah,
and
Anthony's probably right.
Flavors of Demon Princes went down 15 points. So the Winged Prince is now 155, and the Foot Prince is 185.
Now, the Winged Prince is still bad, right?
Is he the one that chooses a target and he gets rerolls against it, and if it doesn't die, he dies at the end of the game?
Yeah.
I must have seen a Winged Prince from World Eaters in the longest time. The Foot Prince decrease just makes sense with the nerf to its rule.
If you gave that guy the loan up roll, do you think he'd be insane?
The Foot Prince or the Winged Prince?
The Foot Prince. Give him the loan up that the Emperor Children one has.
I don't think so.
Because he still has the Invul Aura, right? Josie would be very happy, but
yeah, but the Invul Aura only works on stuff that already has Invuls, so 8-bound.
It still gives them a 5-up now, right? Or is that just gone totally now?
Maybe it still gives them a 5-up.
Yeah, it gives them a 5-up, and then they have a 4-up if they already have an Invul.
Oh, okay.
Or they have a 5-up Invul, right? That's the change. So it would still give that guy loan up, which I think would be pretty good.
Yeah.
All right.
Cute.
I think that's the end of all of the
That is
armies
the
that
end
I
of the
cared
regular
about.
stuff. Now we get to get really angry.
Okay, can we do let's do Tactical Brigade, because Tactical Brigade, good changes. Tactical Brigade got hit just like perfectly, nailed the bullseye
The
on
exact
tactical changes
change
for me.
is they just replaced the second paragraph with select one of the tactics abilities and select one friendly Orcs unit within 6 of the model to select. The model then has to take a leadership test, and if if they fail their test, the selected unit takes a mortal wound.
So, one, you can't randomly kill your own flash kit to get 4 inches close to the enemy to charge them. Fantastic. Great change. Takes 2 turns of failing it to do that now, minimum. You don't get double orders, so there's actually a trade-off in the army. Tank busters went up 15 points, 125 to 140.
6, yeah.
And then, like, that was it.
Yeah.
Pretty good changes.
I think the Big Mech with Shock Attack Gun went up.
Oh, yeah, the Mech Captain and hasn't went up 10, I think.
Yes. So the Big Mech with Shock Attack Gun went up 10, and Mech Captain went up 10.
Yep. So good changes on the whole.
I think hitting it in the core of the detachment was the smart way to go about it.
The SAG data sheet for 65 was too cheap. Cool with that too.
Probably too cheap at 75, but
yeah, probably.
But we can let Orcs have.
Tactical Brigade would have continued to be a pretty good detachment that had some genuine limitations and actually had to make trade-offs in its gameplay. And then more DACA exists. Now, I don't understand what the Games Workshop design team thinks the math on sustained hits 2 is on a unit that hits on 6s. But it's not good.
It's a 200% increase in output.
Yeah, it literally triples the damage output of the unit, right? It goes from being does the damage of 1 unit to just does the damage of 3 units of Lutas. Now, for units that hit on 5s, it's a 1.5 times damage output increase,
which is still pretty good.
It's pretty goddamn good. You know, your unit of tank busters now hits like 2 units of tank, 1.5 units of tank busters.
No, Orcs Grant is starting right now.
Almost universally hit on 5s and 6s. It is the functional equivalent of, you know, the pure math of it is the functional equivalent of +2 to hit. Sustained hits. Now, obviously,
every point of sustained hit is a +1 to hit.
Wildly varied, but having a unit like Lutas, the ones that we've been speaking of, so Mordaka is a detachment for anybody who's joining in. That's the new Orc detachment that got printed. Now, its attachment rule is infantry and walkers have sustained hits 2 on their shooting. And then in the WA, their ranged weapons gain assault. And that's it. That's their detachment rule. Now, it's the sustained hits 2 is always on, except exactly on Overwatch, right? It doesn't work on Overwatch, which is
it's just during your shooting phase. So a shoot back or anything like that wouldn't trigger it.
Yeah. Now, Orcs have a lot of volume in their army because they generally have pretty low ballistic skill, which means that their aim is to hit pretty well by virtue of throwing so many dice at you that eventually they will hit you. It's very much the same way that Genestealer Cults do it, right? Genestealer Cults work really hard for sustained hits 1, dropping in out of reserve. Now, obviously, I've been feeling this as a Genestealer Cult player. My army does a lot of working really hard to get my 5s to hit to crit 5s or full rerolls or whatever to feel like I have an average damage output across my army. And Orcs just get it for showing up. And that is bizarre, bonkers, confusing to me. Now, the rough math on it is if you take a unit that has, let's say 10, a tank buster squad has 5 D3 shots, so it's going to average 10. Now, under normal circumstances, those shots are hitting on 5s, they'll have 3.3 hits. Now, if they shoot into a vehicle, they'll get +1 to hit, and they'll hit on 4s. If you add in, or they hit on 4s, so it'll be 5 hits. Then if you add in a tank buster, you add the character of the tank buster as the shock attack gun, that gives reroll 1s to hit. That'll push your damage output up 16%, right? 16% damage output increase, so you'll hit an average of 5.8 times, so call it 6. So a fully buffed tank buster unit shooting into a vehicle averages roughly 6 hits. Now, if you add sustained hits 2 onto that, baseline, before you do anything else, that unit is... Yeah, it gets up to closer to 10 with just the reroll 1s. But, working through it, if you have just the baseline unit hitting on 5s, you're going to get an average of 5 hits, which is roughly the same as... is this right? No, you're going to have an average of 6 hits. 6.66 hits, which is already better than having the full buff shooting a vehicle with reroll 1s before. Then we add in you can keep adding buffs onto that, and it gets up to about 10 hits when you're on force rolling once state hits too.
You basically get 100% conversion.
Yeah, it's like 97% conversion because it's effective the same as hitting on 2 rolling ones, which is 97%. So you're going to get 10 shots is 10 hits. Now, tank busters in this example are also able to have +1 strength, +1 AP, +1 to wound against vehicles every turn. I think David Gaylor was saying, running the math on a unit of 6 tank busters and a shock attack gun, walking out is that they're like 87% chance to one-shot a roll door.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah. And they do it from 24 inches away. They're overwatchable for sure. But they're AP2 pushed it to AP3 with the pulsar rocket. There's a stratagem for +1 AP. There's a stratagem for ignores cover. The shock attack gun is 16-inch range, AP4, damage D6. It is entirely possible that it just sits in the back of the board at 16-inch range and just one taps tanks with a 75-point character attached to a unit.
Yep.
Now it doesn't work on firing deck. It doesn't work on Overwatch. But this isn't even the abusive unit for me, right? The abusive unit is obviously Lutas, which
Let's
are
walk through what Lutas do, shall we? Because not everyone is familiar. Because
the Luta data sheet is a 50-point unit of orc dudes, and they have def guns. I think they're called. They are 2 shots, 48-inch range, rapid fire 1, heavy. They are ballistic skill 6, and they are 8-1-2. 8-1-2 is a weird profile. It's pretty efficient into like just about everything through sheer weight of volume. You're in the 24. This unit of 5 guys kicks out 12 shots. And then has an additional 3 from the custom Mega Blaster, which is a 9-2d6 gun with hazardous at 24-inch range. Now, they come in 5s and 10s. They're 50 and 100 points. Okay. What's their datasheet rule, Jeremy?
Each time a model in this unit makes a range attack, reroll a hit roll of 1. If the attack targets a unit that is within range of an objective marker, you can reroll the hit roll instead.
Cool. So, for anyone who doesn't know, the rough math on rolling a 6, rerolling it, and needing a 6 is 31%. So roughly about a third. Now, if every single one of those hits 3 times instead of 1, we effectively multiply that by 3, which means this unit, for use on objectives, has a hit rate of 93% at 8-1-2.
Yep.
So this unit, for reference, has in rapid fire range at 24 has 30 shots, which means it hits very roughly 28 times.
Yep.
For 100 points at 8-1-2 with buff stratagems available.
Oh, and also it has the other 6 shots at.
Yeah, so it has 20. It has 24 shots at 8-1-2 and 3 shots at 6 shots at 9-2d6. With full rerolls to hit against those objectives and assault in the Wa. And they're still orcs. They still advance in charge. Like, it's not like they're terrible in combat. They're still, 2 or 3 attacks each at 5-0-1, and they're just going to drown you in bodies, and they're going to do it out of trucks. And obviously, those full rerolls convey to, if you wanted to attack shock attack guns to this data sheet and give them full rerolls, you could do that. You're going to be better probably putting them in tank busters to give tank busters the reroll ones, because they don't have it naturally, and you'll just have 6 good shooting units. 3 tank buster squads with shock attack guns, 3 so 2 attacks each at 4-0-1 becomes 3 attacks each at 5-0-1 in the WA, because +1 strength and attack on the charge, or +1 strength attack in general, +5 vulnerable save. So you can have 6 of these pretty good shooting profiles, right? Which is great baseline. How much is all of that combined? 3 shock attack guns plus tank busters is 600. So those 6 units is less than 1,000 points. You still get an orc army alongside it.
Yeah, because tank busters are 135 now. You're 75 on
75 for the character.
Tag, so
210, 630. Yeah, it's like 950 points.
300, so 930 for those 6 units.
Yep. Now,
also,
let's get into the rest of the detachment, because this is just the baseline. All right.
First enhancement already made me mad.
The Gobshot Underbus.
Hilarious description, by the way. You basically load the damn thing up with teeth, and you're shooting a small fortune in teeth every single time. But it gives the bearer devastating wounds and hazardous on his ranged weapons.
Now, orcs don't have a ton of access to reroll wounds, which is fine. This enhancement's good. It's wildly swingy in a wildly swingy stratagem. This enhancement doesn't actually make me that mad. It's a good enhancement. It's fine. Whatever. I can live with them having a good enhancement.
This enhancement you put on a SAG that hangs out with Ludus, because then you just eat the mortals on.
Yeah, you're just like, oh, I did it. Yeah, you just take the hazardous on the 2 spanners in the
on
unit.
the guys with the custom Mega Blasters,
Yep.
or whatever they're called.
All right, Dead Shiny Shooter. Orc models only. Ranged weapons equipped by models in the bear's unit have the rapid fire 1 ability. This is 35 points. Really good on tact busters that are D3 shots blast.
Yeah, they just go D3 plus 1.
D3 plus 1 blast. Yeah, you walk this unit out in front of a I'm gonna run the math on how many neophyte. Like if this is just kill.
Oh, we lost Ennis. That's how mad he is. We lost you for a second there. I think you're back now.
Oh, sorry. There was an old thing from when Desolation Marines came out this edition of did Desolation where because their like addition to blast outstripped adding 5 more models to the unit every time, they would kill an infinitely sized unit of guardsmen. And I'm pretty sure tank busters probably make that number as well.
Okay, so yeah, so you have 5 rocket launches, which are D3 each at 923. And then you also have, this is the really funny one, you have 2 rocket pistols. Unless you'd give them the smash hammer. But if you have the rocket pistols, I think you take them because rapid fire on those is very funny. Oh, we lost an Innis. Yeah, so shooting a unit of neophytes, I'm going to start doing the head math while I wait for Innis to reconnect. You would have 5 D3, so you would have 10 on average, and then you would have 5 instances of 4 blasts, so you'd have another 20 shots, so you'd have 30 shots. And since he was talking earlier, it's 97% hit rate. You're hitting 28 times. If you're in range for your pistols, then that's another 4 hits, and you just wipe a 20-man neophyte squad with, I think, some damage left over to kill the character. That's kind of terrifying. But I don't think it fully maths out for the. And if you give it the rapid fire enhancement, then they really, really die, because then it's 15 plus 20 is 35 shots. We're doing math on neophytes because they're innocent, loyal soldiers that caught a stray as a result of someone playing them too well. All right, Innis is messaging me. But yeah, it's I don't know. That rapid fire enhancement makes me very upset. And then after that, we've got targeting squigs. Which is, each of a model in the bearer's unit makes a range attack, add 1 to the hit roll. So it's basically the same as, an additional sustained if you want, or just, going down to hitting on 1s with, so you just hit all the time. And the last one is Zog off and eat Daka, which is fall back and shoot, which is fine. But yeah, the rapid fire one is definitely the one that's causing the most grief here. Just makes me upset. All right, Innis is logging back in.
Big Orc is trying to silence me.
Big Orc is definitely trying to silence you. So I went through the other two enhancements while we were waiting for you to reconnect. But I mean, the math on if you have the rapid fire enhancement, that's 35 shots into a unit of neophytes.
Yep. Plus the character, plus the rocket pistols.
Yeah. The rocket pistols is very funny though, because sure,
2 of them
casually doubled. Yeah, you take 2 of them, so it's 4 shots on your pistols.
Dude's shooting like a Kellermorph.
Yeah, pretty much.
All right, now let's talk about the stratagems, because somehow this isn't even the worst part of the detachment to me. That we're gonna do get stuck in lads last. Okay, so Orcs is still Orcs. Your unit becomes assault intercessors till the end of the fight phase. Reroll 1s to wound. Reroll all wound rolls if they're on an objective. Hey, it's really good on anything.
Yeah,
is reroll wound rolls good?
Beast Nagas.
Mega knobs that are using another stratagem later. Doesn't really matter what it is. This is just a good stratagem. Reroll all wound rolls.
Terrifying.
Now, obviously, the hilarious thing is that there's nothing left on the objectives, so you're never going to use this because everything that was on an objective died to the Lutas. But I guess on like turn 4, when your opponent's last dregs are still stumbling onto objectives, you can make sure their lone up lieutenant dies to your truck. Notably, you can use this on a Stomper.
It's just Orcs unit. Oh no.
Okay. Huge show-ups. One Orc Walker unit accept killer counts from your army until the start of your next command phase. Improve that unit's move, leadership, and objective control characteristics by 1, and give it +1 to hit.
Does that mean it just works on the Death Dread?
Death Dread and I'm pretty sure the Stompa has the Walker keyword, right?
The Stompa and the Morkanot and Gorkanot, those are walkers, aren't they?
Yeah, I think the Stompa's a walker. That seems like a thing it should be. Can the Stompa heroically intervene? Stompa can heroically intervene, yeah.
Yeah, the Morkanot and Gorkanot are also walkers. So that's actually pretty cute.
Yeah, like I think this is probably a decent attachment for the big things. I don't know. Whenever I wrote the attachment for the list for this attachment, I immediately just went, yeah, so all infantry and dudes in trucks, which feels like it's going to be the most stable way to do it. But there's a world where you play like one of the big guns, like a Morkanot or a Gorkanot, and you're probably not playing a Stompa. But hey, maybe you're a braver man than I am. Okay, then we have long uncontrolled bursts, which is the kind of tiers that I'm having over this detachment. Start of your shooting phase, select an Orc character model from your army, then you select an enemy unit within 18, and until the end of your phase, all Orc models that shoot that unit have ignore cover. There is no line of sight restrictions for your character, no line of sight restrictions for the unit. Just that thing, I don't want to see it anymore. You can't anyway. I still don't want to see it. It does not work on any vehicles besides walkers. It is infantry and walker only, specifically. Yeah. Then we have special shells. One Orc unit from your army that has not been set to shoot this phase. Until the end of the phase, each time the model makes a ranged attack, it targets the closest eligible target within 18. Improve the armor penetration characteristic of ranged weapons by 1. So +1 AP as long as you're shooting something within 18. Hey, rapid fire is 12-inch range on tank busters, right? And flash kits get their rerolls when they're within the closest target, right? And they're 24-inch range. And Lutas are 40-inch range, but rapid fire within 24. So going 6 inches closer isn't that big a cost on the army that advances and charges army wide on its go turn. It feels like this is probably a strategy that you'll get to use a ton. Yeah. So if you really want to, you can do ignore +1 AP army wide and then also ignore cover. Ignore cover army wide and then also +1 AP against the specific target. Just remove target thing. Then we have Koldat Daka, which is a shootback stratagem. Just, did you shoot me? You killed the model? Shoot you back for a CP. Probably at its best on tank busters. It's still pretty good on looters if you happen to be shooting them from an objective where they still get full rerolls to hit you. You know, any of those things. Just, did you try to interact? They're just, they're microdosing the Ynnari Codex. And then we have,
at the very least, I'll give them credit that the sustain 2 only happens during their shooting phase, so they don't get it when they shoot you back.
You're right. It is true. This is actually better than the Ynnari version because the Ynnari version is end of the shooting phase. In some ways, the Ynnari version can also shoot anything. It's not restricted to the thing that shot them, but it's a good stratagem. It's also not 2 CP like the Votann version of the same stratagem. Now we have
Votann version also requires you to have a token to do it.
Oh no, you have to have a token against Votann. Oh, what a downside. All right. Then we have the stratagem that. So this was best described to me today as if this was 5 separate 1 CP stratagems, they'd all be one of the best stratagems in most attachments.
This is a CSM detachment in 1 stratagem.
Yep. So this stratagem for 1 CP gives your unit advance and charge, advance and shoot, +1 strength, +1 AP, and a 5 vulnerable save until your next command phase, and then also triggers all effects that are in the wall because it puts your unit into the wall. Now, that does a whole bunch of things for Orcs, like, for example, gives War Bosses their +4 attacks, gives Mega Knobs their 5 at Feel No Pain, gives Zogrod Wartsnagga his +6 move, gives all of your shooting units a 5 invulnerable save and assault. Like if it was just an advance and shoot stratagem, if it was just 1 CP, your unit can advance and shoot outside the wall, this would be a good stratagem. But it's not. It's all of the things. I truly don't understand why this stratagem exists.
I guess small blessings they didn't think to put this stratagem in any other orc detachment.
Yeah. Is this the best strat in the game?
Probably. Grenades is still pretty good, though.
This is so much better than grenades. I think it's the best stratagem in the game, and the second best stratagem in the game would be this stratagem if it lost 3 of its abilities.
Let's say 2.
Sure. Whatever, dude. Whatever helps you sleep at night.
Yeah, Mike Parsons thinks Mists, and I went, eh.
It's so much better than Mists.
Yeah, because Mist requires your opponent to do something. This is just, it's my command phase. I want
Yeah,
that.
it just by virtue of being a proactive stratagem, I think it's always going to be better than a defensive stratagem, but yeah.
Yeah, we found our first 4 CP stratagem of 10th. That is Nailhead.
6 Meganobs plus Ghazghkull. Yeah. How does Bakari's aura work? Okay, Makari specifically says if the Wa is active for your army, he gives it lethal hits in the 12-inch aura. Okay.
Well, this means that abilities that are in effect while the Wa is active for your army will be in effect for your unit.
So, yeah, you could just turn on Ghazghkull's 12-inch lethal hits aura with this as well. Sick, dude. And I don't even think that's a good use of this strategy, but you can
it also
do
gives
it.
You crit 5s on him.
Yep, crit 5s.
Which doesn't really do anything for him, does it?
I mean, it gives him the lethal hits.
Oh, yeah, right. Duh.
Ow. Yeah, and then obviously you can do full roll to wound on your Ghazghkull when he charges in now for a CP as well. Yep. This detachment, point for point, beats Index Eldar. I think it does. I think it's close, but I think it does.
Are we talking with spilling dev wounds?
No, go for after the towering dev wound changes, the very first, after that,
So
when we were just in
of whatever.
Yeah, the Wraith Guard meta game. I think this would be a better detachment than that.
Yeah, I'd agree.
I think it might be close to the Eldar. I don't think it's quite getting to the degree of Wraith Guard that were shooting you while they were in combat with you after charging you with pistol.
And wiping your entire unit kind of thing? No.
Yeah, I think that's maybe, it's hard to get up to, we're playing Sigmar today.
This is pretty close, though.
It's really good. I don't want to play singles while this exists. I'm not playing singles while this exists. Thankfully, I'm doing a whole bunch of team events for the next 4 months.
Find an orc player.
I have a significant degree of protection that most players do not enjoy. For me personally, detachments like this are terrible for business because nobody gives a shit about
interest in the hobby.
Exactly.
Because it's either everyone just goes and plays this, and then every single top table Adepticon
and you know what the
just ends up being this.
Part is, Jeremy. Is I still don't think it'll have above a 55% win rate.
Makes me angry.
I think it'll still sit at this detachment will be 57, 58, and then Orks as a whole will be 43 still.
I don't know. Orks are sitting at 50 right now, aren't they?
Yeah, but dude, how long did that take?
Fair.
I think if this detachment didn't exist, I would call this Dataslate reasonable success, missed with Gulliman. Don't know why Custodes needed an attachment. But this detachment existing makes me just kind of go, what the fuck is going on? How is this getting through in a world where we're balancing things? Detachments are being tested and making it through and being okay. And then you're like, what if Orks had +2 to hit army-wide? But it's kind of one of those things where it's Orks aren't even bad at shooting. They're an okay shooting army. They're not amazing,
they're
but
by having volume into shit.
They could solve a few problems in the shooting phase if they wanted to with the units, and then they got the kill team data sheets that gave them a bit more ability. This is kind of like if you were just oh well, what's an army that's okay at melee but not amazing at it? Votann, right? You're just yeah, man, Votann, they're mostly a shooting army, but they sometimes punch. Let's just give them sustained hits 2 on all their melee. And you'd be like, oh yeah, I was surprised when people tabled everyone with Votann in combat. You're like, yeah, dude, well, you just printed that.
At the very least, in combat, you have to reach them.
Exactly.
With shooting,
I don't know, dude. The looters are 25 inches away from me. They only have 18 shots. Sorry, 16. I don't want to overrepresent it. 16.
No, they have 24 shots.
24?
Because they have the Mega Blasters too.
22. There we go. Get there in the end. 2 times 8 plus 6.
Yep. We can both do math.
I refuse. It's 1:45 in the morning.
Yeah,
I'll do math when Games Workshop does math on what sustained hits 2 does.
Well, I mean, you couldn't just give them sustained hits 1 in shooting, right?
No, dude, that would be like a
do that, then it'd be like the index detachment, but orc shooting is worse than orc melee, so clearly that's worse. So you have to give them sustained 2.
That'd be like dark packs, and dark packs are pretty bad, so
yeah, it's not like you have to take like a test and potentially kill yourself for doing it.
No. I'm just upset about this detachment. I wanted to be like, hey dude, you guys did great, amazing balanced data slate, super cool detachment.
You know what? Take out the sustained hits too, just replace it with lethals.
Dude, lethal hits is functionally sustained hits 2 a lot of the time.
Yeah, but
if you win on 5s, lethal hits is sustained. If you win on 5s, lethal hits is sustained hits 2.
It fixes the spikiness of if you roll 3 6s and suddenly that's 9 hits.
Yeah, I think if you made it assault army wide and sustained hits 2 in the WA, it would still be broken if you just swapped the rules.
Oh, especially with the strat to just put something on in the wall for
wherever
you want.
Yeah, sure, that would also be bad, right? But if you remove that stratagem and you were just like, it's assault and sustained hits 1 in the wall, would it be okay? Or would it still be one of the best armies in the game?
Sustained hits 1 in the wall?
Sustained hits 1 in the wall in shooting only, and you get assault otherwise. Would that still be too much? If the wall strat was just like, give a unit the sustained hits 1. 1 CP unit has sustained hits. Effects. Just give a unit sustained hits 1 for CP. Would it still be the best arm? Would it still be one of the best armies in the game? I think it would.
It's definitely up there at that point. But
this is so much better than that.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Like the list I put together, just like brain dead instant version, was like 3 squads of tank busters with shock attack guns, 3 squads of looters, Zogrod and 22 Gretchen, 4 trucks, 2 squads of beast snaggers with beast bosses, 3 squads of storm boys, another 10 of Gretchen.
Yeah.
It's just like, cool, dude. So I have good combat, good range. I'm going to run directly forward and wah in your face as well. Like, the turn that this army jumps out, it's also RB wide, 5 avoidable save, and advance and charge you with a bunch of trucks and beast snaggers and storm boys and the guys that got out of transports that were in your face anyway. Like, they were like, well, we're not shooting again, and they just charge you, and you're just not on any objectives anymore.
Yeah. And I mean, even flash kits are pretty good in here.
Yeah, flash kits are definitely worse here than they are in Tactical Brigade, but they're not bad. No Mech Captain is a shame, but they're still sustained lethal and sustained hits 2, and they get 4 shots each. It's a lot of room for variance.
Mm-hmm. I don't know.
Yeah.
If we pretend this doesn't exist, I agree with you.
If we pretend this doesn't exist, I think the game is good, but Ultramarines are too strong. And like I wish Yunari had gotten hit, but I think people will get better at playing around them. With this existing, I'm like, so why am I bothering with anything that isn't this right now? Or, you know, I'm okay with going to tournaments and being like, yeah, dude, I'm just here to beat anything that isn't Orcs and hope that I don't play Orcs until the final, and I'll lose the final. Like, I've played those metagames before.
Or you play an Orc player that's not particularly good, and you hope.
Yeah, dude. Or I just like, I get to look at the metagame and I go, well, the only thing that matters is Orcs, so let me just like play this matchup 10 times and hard tailor my list to beat Orcs. The problem is, if I do that, I'm going to lose to Yunari and Space Marines because they're still both overtuned as well.
Yep.
So I've got to, you know, I was saying this on the show yesterday, right? The best metagames are the ones where the difference between the middle and the second best army aren't super high. Because when there's
pretty big difference,
when there's one best army, it's fine because you just deal with that. When there's 2 best armies, when there's 3 best armies, and the middle is not amazing comparatively, that's when it's hard to build armies to respond to anything. We're just going to have to sit there and go, yeah, so, you know, I built my army to play Orcs, but then I rolled up and I played Yunari 3 times in a row, and I was in the 0-2 bracket by the end of day 1. You know, and then, you know, then you start asking the question like, what does this lose to? Strong question. It has AP. It has high volume, damage 2, damage 3, and damage D6 shooting with high AP. I don't know what it loses to. I'll tell you if I figure it out. Jeremy looks deep
Six's auto hit.
I
really hate that Six's auto hit.
Like, yeah, dude, I'm gonna play my fucking. You gotta
I'll
play
my Hunter cohort and just say no.
You've got to play Scintillating Legion and hope you hit a 6 so that their 6 is auto miss. That's it. That's all I got.
Only works in the fight phase, I think.
Just shut up.
I'm pretty sure now. I'm going to go check.
Like, the problem with any plan
that's like, playing Scintillating.
So the other problem is with stuff like this, right? A large Custodes might mark the Orks. Okay, but follow-up question. How are you getting them out of the trucks? Because, like, you've got to apply enough pressure to them to make them get out of the trucks to then deal with you, to then be able to kill them. Or you've got to get through the wall of stuff that they have, because, as we said, the shooting package of that 6 units is 950-ish points. You get 1,000 points of transports, walls, screens, Zogrod. You know, just bearing in mind, Zogrod's unit has Scout 9 and moves 12 on turn 1 with advance and charge. So if it goes first, it goes... I think it has to normal move for the +6 move. I don't even know. But it goes 21 plus charge into your deployments on turn 1 with 20 -1 to wound 5 and vulnerable save grots. If it goes first, you're not getting out your deployment zone. If you go second, it stages the midboard waiting to run at you immediately on turn 2.
Yeah. Well, I mean, technically it's turn 21 because it also advances.
Yeah, it was like I wasn't sure if I had to make a move, so I didn't want to commit that to the internet.
No,
I think it is just +6 to its move, yeah. So it goes 21 plus 3d6 directly forwards down your gullet, pins you in your deployment zone, Stormboy stage up, trucks advance willy-nilly because, like, they just move block all the positions you're going to be able to, you can get the lines on them, and then they unload, they wall on turn 2, and they advance and charge your turn army with 60 orc models that also just shot you in the face.
Yep.
Now, admittedly, you might not be in any objectives, so they might not table you because you're not in any objectives, but unfortunately, that does come with its own consequences.
Yeah, like not scoring any points.
That would be the main one, yeah.
Just play Purge against them every single time.
Can I play Ritual against them every single time where all the objectives are behind walls and miles away from them?
I think Purge would be better. Hold your home, kill a unit a turn, and just kind of say, I don't want to deal with this.
I'm playing triple Paper Crawler, just indirecting one unit to death a turn. And all I play against them in is Purge the Foe.
That unit of Gretchen right there. Go away.
Purge the Foe was the savior the whole time. How many Daka lists are we seeing at Adepticon? I would not be shocked if the final had 60 Lutas and 36 tank busters in it.
Someone did point out the really hilariousness of, is 18 kilocans the answer?
Does 18 kilocans just immediately die to 2 shotgun attack guns? Look, if the answer to Orks is Orks, I'm just done. I'm out. Like this. Thanks. I'll see you in a bit. I'm gonna take a break. I'm gonna go hide in teams for 3 months. Not everybody can hide in teams for 3 months. The game can't sustain.
I'm gonna hide in teams and running events.
I'm really glad I'm not a TO anymore. That has to like make numbers on tickets as well.
Yeah.
Not that I think, I don't think it's going to be that bad in a general sense, right?
No, but it is
for the average tournament player. There are so many people who are just not going to ever play against this.
It will stymie growth, and that's something that can be a concern if it's not addressed quickly.
Yeah,
if you have those people that come out to their first event and that's their experience, and they go, "I don't want to play this ever again," because
dude, could you imagine rocking up to your tournament, your first game against more Daka? First of all, the detachment name doesn't sound like a detachment, and that bugs me to no end. Unleash the Lions and Mordaka are not detachment names; they're stratagems. They're just the stratagems.
It's not called Unleash the Lions.
Is it not? Okay, good.
No,
that's fine.
It's called Lion's Blade. I think.
Is that not a Dark Angels detachment?
Wait, what's it actually called? I had it open a second ago. It is Lions of the Emperor.
Okay, that's fine. Mordaka.
That one I think is fine because it's referring to the Alaris. The Unleash the Lion strat is in there.
Lion's Blade's a Dark Angels detachment from 7th edition. That doesn't sound right.
Well, there's Lion's Blade Task Force or whatever it's called. That was their Grotmus detachment.
Lions of the Emperor. I don't like it, but I'll live. Mordaka just sounds like a stratagem. I don't care for it at all.
Yeah, not gonna lie. I thought Harkon Rahal. I'm not gonna lie. I thought it was a Dark Angels detachment first. I wish it was another Dark Angels detachment.
So overall, let's do pass-fail grade. You know, I once referred to an 8th edition Dataslate as the best Dataslate they'd ever released, C+. I feel like I was maybe being, you know, I didn't realize just how bad they could get. And I'd be, in fairness,
if this was a first year
this isn't
essay,
part of the balance
I would have to give it a passing grade because I know it wasn't generated by ChatGPT.
Yeah, I don't think ChatGPT would print sustained hits too. You know, the only thing I'm going to take like a marginal amount of sanity with is they didn't make it sustained hits D3 because law random works. Right? Like you could totally see a world where they just did that, right?
What currently is sustained hits D3? It's Kairos,
Sagittars.
Right? Oh yeah, but
yeah, Sagittars, like the conversion rule in general for Votann. The Lord of Change has it.
That's the one thing. It was Lord of Change, not Kairos.
The Avatar of Cain used to have it. He doesn't anymore. Fuegan used to have it. Doesn't anymore.
Yeah, he just has sustained 2.
There's something else that has that kind of gun that I was playing recently that has it.
Oh, Mortarian's gun, Lantern has
Mortarian's gun. That's the one. Yes, sustained hits D3. Yeah, it's a lot. I look forward to change, which is a really bad thing to be saying the day after the balanced Dataslate.
I can't wait for the next one.
Yeah. Well, actually, I can if they're putting 4 more detachments in it.
I'm assuming 3 because I think Demons was a one-off kind of thing.
Sure, but if they're putting 3 more detachments for armies that have codexes, that's Tyranids, Genestealer Cults, Space Marines,
Admech
Necrons. None of those things fill me with hope. Aeldari potentially as well.
Oh, can you imagine them getting a 10th detachment like in June?
They're going to sustain hits 2 in melee because Aeldari's a shooting army.
Please no.
How long was it before we got the Starshire FAQ? It was like 2 days.
It was less than 2 weeks because Starshatter came out right before Christmas, and it was like the week afterwards that we got the update to it.
And we're not dealing with Grotmas, and they're not on Christmas holiday. Look,
I could fix really quickly.
Would love to live in a world where they're just like, "Oops, sorry, that was meant to say."
So, Treble Adepticon has confirmed that everything released today will be in play.
Yeah,
because their official rules lock is Saturday.
If they were just like, "Oops, sorry, this today sheet is Crusade only," I would be like, "Fantastic, A+ Dataslate."
I mean, yeah, you could just release these as narrative detachments.
You could. I think people would broadly be upset, but Tactical Brigade already exists. Why does this detachment need to exist? That's what I just don't get.
When does Josh play another big event?
South Coast next week. Event? Oh, he's on our team for Bat BFS. So
yeah, I'm aware of that, but I might just say like, no, go away.
I would just make him play Orks.
No, he will play into Orks every round.
You play into Orks with Orks. That's actually the secret tech we've been doing. The reason that we've been developing the 5-man champions format is so that when people go to play team events, they can banish both their Ork players to the champion role.
Yeah, that one guy just repeated the Quinn's Light Army at Adepticon. So 3 years ago, and this is the thing with the Elder release, it's like, are we going to just see a Ynnari mirror at the end of Adepticon? No, we're going to see a more Daka mirror.
What I actually want it to be is Ynnari versus Tactical Brigade. Just like 2 armies that deserve each other. And then just the Ynnari players just like, I'm going to react to your stuff. And the Ork players like, don't care, never did. All right. I think that's going to be the end because we're starting to get into Doomer territory, and we're never where we like to be. We will be like genuinely try our best to be positive. We will be covering it. I am going to a tournament this weekend. I am going to have a fantastic time. I am sure that there will be ways to beat this Ork army, and that we're gonna work on it. Because every single person in the world is either playing Orks or building to beat Orks right now. Right? That's you got to start with that. Orks actually do have box lock. That's why you have to run the spanners in the Looter squads, because they don't come with 5 def guns. You have to run the one little mech dude. It just doesn't matter. because
As the gun's
they
pretty
gave
good.
them good guns, because they don't get box locked the same way we do because they're one of the 4 big armies, right? Orcs, Eldar, Chaos Space Marines, and Marines. The 4
Even Chaos
poster
Space Marines are
children.
getting box locked most of the time.
Yeah, not a lot, but I just think of the armies that were
Havoc's
in Dawn
don't,
of
but
War. The armies that
Chosen
were in Dawn of
do.
War to me are the poster child armies.
Fair.
If it was in Dawn of War 1 and 2, or Dawn of War 1, it's one of those.
Oh yeah, Rocky Mountain is in what, May?
Rocky Mountain's in like 3 weeks. I'm pretty sure.
Never mind. Yeah, we've got Toronto teams in 3 weeks.
Yep, I should book flights for that.
We should figure out what we're going to run now.
Hey, I heard you love orcs.
Take one for the team.
Somebody will play it. I need to figure out what I'm playing. I need to survive even like Genestealer Cults.
All right.
Bloody Dave Gaylord put them like second from the top in his tier list. I was like, hold your horses, dude.
Where do you put guard?
Third or fourth. I think it was like watching the Farside tier list. It was like Orcs in S tier, and then it was like GSC, Guard, Eldar, or Custodes, like some form of those 4.
Yeah.
I didn't watch the end of it as well. I just watched the Orc rant and then moved on. All right, guys. I think that is going to do it for us. If anybody's got any questions, we'll take some for the next 5-10 minutes or so, and then we'll finish up.
Yep.
So if you want to fire any questions in chat, go for it. Otherwise, I get to go to bed soon.
That sounds good. I can rest my poor bruised body.
How are you? You fell on the ice yesterday, right?
Yeah, today was absolute crap. I recognized that apparently I am getting old because falling on the ice just knocked me out for a day.
Jeremy, are you guys moving more towards GW train format? I will be playing as much WTC train format as I can because I helped with all of the train updates.
Martina did a super chat earlier. Thank you for the €6. Should I paint my Blood Crushers and play Shadow Legion or stick with BA in either Lag or Angelic Inheritors?
Dude, Lag is still really good. I still like Lag. I also like immediate first thoughts on how do you deal with orcs is that like you are gonna just have to put the pressure on them with fly stuff that can get over their screens and get into the buildings, right? You got to go from in the walls to in their ass, and the best way to do that is fast fly stuff, ideally with 6-inch piling consolidation, so you can actually catch their units. One thing they don't have is a fallback and shoot strategy. They have an enhancement for it, but I don't know, but that can't be everywhere.
It's just an enhancement, so I don't think you end up taking it that often because
yeah, I ended up having it because I just
usually if something's getting touched, it's dead anyways.
Yeah, it's like I had it to be like the one that sits at the backboard with your warlord. So you're just like, okay, this one is the one that's plays safe against knights. It has fallback shoot charges just in case my opponent like sneaks a Boar Spider Squad into my backgrid or whatever, and I can just like not deal with it. Right? I think fast fly stuff that can get over the top of them is probably the way to do it. Lag, I think lag is still pretty good, dude. Plus, you get to run the Sanguinor again. I love the Sanguinor.
Yes, and nothing funnier than fucking with orcs when they're not in the wall with the Sanguinor and just go. So that's 8 good dead guys.
An orc loot unit with mech has 30 to 40% to pick up the warrior brick. Great, they've only got 3 of them. And thank you, Martin, for the €6 with that super chat.
Yeah, that one guy. Thank you for the $4.99. Thanks for the extra content. Can't wait for Indus to try and help me muddle through playing Quins and GSC.
We're not going to test into orcs. That one guy. We're not going to do it. It's not worth your time.
To finish answering the question for Valentin, are you guys moving more towards GW train format? So for our local GTs, the plan is to basically go with the whims of the local players, and right now everyone has voted overwhelmingly to go with GW train and just stick with it for the time being. We are going to run a couple WTC train format events every now and then our team events remain WTC format. So we have the flexibility of running both, and it turns out that the larger community prefers GW boards, so we're just sticking with that. But I did see the updated WTC boards yesterday.
Yep.
Yeah, yesterday. And they look pretty fun. So
I think they're pretty good, but of course I do. I have to think they're pretty good. I helped design half of them.
You helped design them, yeah.
I wonder if they're on TTS yet.
Gara Quintero, why didn't DA get any love? I think they're good, but numbers say otherwise. I wish I knew.
I think DA are fine.
I think they're in a fine spot. They're just overshadowed by Ultramarines being Ultramarines.
That's fair. And I really don't think Ultramarines should get access to the +1
You do what I do and just say, I'm just going to play Ultramarines because it's better right now. So it's a bit of a competitive abandonment in that sense.
Yeah, Martin, Braunschweig is going to be great. Maybe there'll be a balanced Dataslate, I think. With the changes to Votann faction ability, with the Grotmus detachment, see any play?
Maybe. I do need to actually put it on the table and test it, but I'm currently in the middle of GT prep, then Teams prep, so it won't be for a few weeks before I get a chance to do that.
Like the army-wide ruler once day is pretty cool. I think it's the kind of thing that like is probably just missing like a little bit of support. The fact that the blast just like doesn't work on a bunch of stuff is really kind of annoying.
Yeah, because it neuters Thunderkin and it neuters. I mean, they don't really need it, but it would really be nice to have it on Hearthguard.
Man, it'd be so cool to have it on the blast profile on the Berserks.
The reroll ones.
That's the really sad
on the
part.
mole launcher.
Yeah, dude. Why don't the mole launchers get +1 +1 AP?
Yeah, I think the fundamental issue is that the strats are just flat better in Oathband than in Hearthband.
Yeah, I agree.
Because the three key ones in there, fallback, shoot, and charge, which is on any unit, whereas in Hearthband it's limited to, I think, just infantry and mounted, or just infantry even. Sustain 2 and shooting. Hey, what did we just spend 30 minutes ranting about?
Yeah, Rocky Mountain Open is in like next weekend.
Oh God. Well,
Godspeed our MMO players.
I mean, All Is Dust is next weekend too, not this upcoming one, but the one after. So
yeah, that's what I'm at RTT this weekend as well. It's gonna be good.
Yep, it's gonna be interesting. And then the +2 AP in strat and melee, because everyone loves pushing your Berserk to AP4.
Yeah, dude. Innes, with the Neopoint changes, are you still vibing with the host? Or are you looking at the list right now? I really want to love host still, but obviously, I think I'm a little worried about it losing critical mass of ability to both have enough stuff on the table to be worth playing 100 neophytes and also score its points consistently with like, I'm down to, 3 units of 5 acolytes. Still got the melee guys, but like I can roll 4 up, so I get my CP pretty consistently, about half the time. Whereas it sounds like the rest of you get them like 1 in 4 games. So I don't really want to cut them, and I'm a little worried about like front field presence. So I kind of, my immediate headspace is that I want to have a mess about with some other detachments, get more of a feel for them, put some final day on the table, see why Art of War are calling out for, Final Day to be the best attachment in the game. Last week, I saw an Instagram reel saying that they think Final Day is the best attachment in the game, and I'm like, that is wildly not been my experience. So I kind of want to see why they're thinking that. The siren call of 30 metamorph Xenocreed is just sitting there. You can have 60 metamorphs in this, like the green goblin mask in my back corner, just like 60 metamorphs, 60 hand flamers and icons and blood surges. I'm like, yes, I should do it. So, that's always just like lurking in the background, causing me like mental anguish. And Henri has been having a ton of success with Outlander Claw in France still, and obviously Eric still thinks it's the best attachment in the game because Eric is not human. He has secretly been sent by the Four-Armed Emperor to teach us all how not to play Genestealer Cults so that someone else will take up the mantle and do it properly. I don't know. I still love Host. I still think it's really cool. I am a little sick of my Beneficiaries as hazardous to himself to death. So it would be nice to not play a 3-wound character with a hazardous gun, just for like my blood pressure. It's really actually one of the most annoying things about Host is that I have 6 2-up once per game abilities, so I don't get to get mad when one of them fails in a given game.
When 3 of them fail.
Yeah, because I have like 3 Benefictuses that are probably going to shoot like across them like 5 or 6 times in the game, maybe more, and then 3 Saboteurs. So like across the course of a game, I should fail 1 to 2 of them, but it's really goddamn annoying every time you do because 2-up abilities should just
when
work.
You least can afford it.
Yeah. The time my +2 to charge Benefictus blew himself up when I was stood away and then rolled an 8 and charged eating a 9 was like, I caught the enhancement after that, frankly. I was just like, I'm not planning around that ever again. Quick plug for StatCheck March Madness. Sign up in the Jock Channel on StatCheck Discord. If you've been enjoying the StatCheck community today, you want to hear more from us or chat to us more about balance Dataslate changes, you can check out patreon.com/StatCheck or the YouTube membership program that you can find in the description below, and you can get access to our Discord community for $5 a month. We're not doing the shout-outs at the end of the show because Nathan's not here and I don't have to do it because it's not a main show episode. But otherwise, you can find all of our other socials and all of our sponsors in the links below. And if you want to hear more from myself or any of the other StatCheck hosts to help yourself digest Dataslate madness, you can check out stat-check.com/coaching or drop us an an email at coaching@stat-check.com. We'd be more than happy to help you out with any of your Dataslate related woes, except how to beat orcs. Just don't ask me. I don't know yet. I will work on it, but unless you want to throw TTS hours at me and we can sit and play it a million times, you're gonna have to wait. That's what I got. All right. It is really cool to see there's so many classes to take GSC when something is vibing. GSC, after the cult ambush changes, is a really cool book that I really like. Now, I know I went on the Art War Down on the show and bitched a bunch about Final Day a couple days ago, but I've also just people are having success with it. Alex Verdugo's been playing it. I trust Alex Verdugo's opinions, so I will definitely give it a go again, because just because it's not my personal approach doesn't mean it's not a way that I can win the game with. Right? That is one of the glorious things about Warhammer, is you don't have to like something to win with it. So yeah, looking forward to giving it a go. But I think that's going to be it there, because it looks like Jeremy wants to go and have a very big glass of water, and I can see my bed from here, and I really want to go and give it a big hug. So I hope everybody else has a wonderful
for me downstairs. So
I hope everybody has a wonderful evening. We'll catch you all soon, and we'll be back normal time. As a reminder for everybody, it is going to be 10 p.m. UK time, 6 p.m. Eastern for the next couple of weeks, until the clock changes in the UK on the 30th of March. So for the next 2 weeks, do remember that it is earlier show times for UK people and Europe as well. All right, guys, have a fantastic evening. We'll catch you all next time.
ciao.